Now look at them yo-yos, expats, that's the way you do it. Get off the airplane and sweat all day, that ain't working, that's the way you do it. Money for life or nothing, and your chicks for free, now that ain't working, that's the way you do it. Let me tell you, those expats with a wallet ain't dumb. Maybe get a few beers later, maybe go out vlogging all day and get a nap ladder. We got a toilet low to the ground, guaranteed to break your knees. We got girls all day and cheap hotels for weeks. What can go wrong? I want my easy life. I want these girls to be my bride. See the little guy with the earring and the makeup? Yeah, buddy, that's his own hair. That little guy got claims he owns a jet airplane. That little wallet man is 4 kids and a wife back in America. We got a toilet low to the ground, guaranteed to break your knees. We got girls all day and cheap hotels for weeks. What can go wrong? I want my easy life. I want these girls to be my bride. Look here, look out. I should've learned to save my money. I should've learned more on being a YouTuber from other than Old Dog and that guy named Mike. Look at that Filipina young one, she got it sticking in the camera for the old vlogging man, banging on the bongos like a girl on Walking Street in a go-go bar, that red street. That ain't working, that's the way you do it. Get your money for nothing, get your chicks for free. We got a toilet low to the ground, guaranteed to break your knees. We got girls all day and cheap hotels for weeks. What can go?
Hey, good morning, guys. What is going on? What is new? Nano. Looks like MB is in the house. Raymond, Second Wind. Good morning. Harry is in the house. Hey, Michael, what's going on? What is new, guys? I've been doing lives on Mondays, but I was trying to get back to our Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday in the Philippines, and then found out there's a power outage thing going on tomorrow. So I just happened to catch it. And at that point, George was making full arrangements to be on the live stream. Like, he didn't schedule nothing with his uncle or family or friends, or I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. And then boom, he still had something scheduled today. So I just found out yesterday. So there will be a 5 or 6 hour power outage in our area, in Mabalacat. So I'm like, okay, so it's kind of where it is. And then topic wise, I was just going to do a Q&A, but it's, got to throw a little drama in it somewhere. So I came across a expat that is having a lot of medical issues, and as I'm to understand, he's an American. Something happened with this woman, same old story, but I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with him, because the person, I translated what the Filipino vlogger said. He said that he had permission to put him on camera. The guy was putting his story out there, and he went with him to his house to eat or something. But there is something seriously wrong with the guy medically. So what could go wrong in the Philippines? Basically, there's quite a bit. It'll probably sound like a broken record that I'm going to talk about today. But if you guys have anything that you want to add to it, be sure to comment. It'll send the algorithm and going, and it'll bring people in to the live streams. And I do appreciate everybody being here. It is 8:30 in the morning in the Philippines. Let me know where you guys are out. Do your shout out. I do a shout out. Going through the same round with the cats. Pigsy, the black cat, which we called him Geo, or I call him Jelly Bean, because black jelly beans are my favorite. And Pigsy got sick after Jelly Bean. Pigsy's sick again. So it seems to be a stream of upper respiratory. I'm cleaning the floors appropriately, cleaning blankets, We already have like HIPAA filters and all these things in the house. You can only do so much, with X amount of cats in the house. And so now all the calicos are sick. So they get their antibiotics. They're supposed to have them. And Pigsy was sick 2 weeks ago, and here she is sick again. So she was sneezing all morning. So I'm like, oh, dang it. Just started to get in there. Yeah, George is single. Good morning, Lou. He's like, George is more single than I am. George is never home. He is, but like always, ever since I met George, George can sleep on the spot. Like usually he stays up late, especially since he's fully retired for the most part. And then he sleeps most of the days. So it just got to be over a year ago that he just really wasn't. He's lost a lot of interest. I'm supposed to be able to get some walkabouts and some interviews, like where he goes and talks with the people. And he's promising me a few videos here shortly. But there's never been any chains on him not to do his own thing. And a lot of expats that come here that have Filipinas, they go out and do their own thing. So it's no different than in the US. He's a free bird. It's just that I hate to say it, I have these priorities. In other words, I take care of the house, I take care of the cats. I'm a structured person. I'm a scheduling person because of my anxieties, and boom, I will continue the live streams whether he's going to do them or not. So we're both part of this channel. He just isn't here all the time. So I had him for tomorrow, and he just couldn't break away today. So, but good morning. So, but anyways, that's what I'm going to talk about. Basically, what could go wrong. I did do a very small, slight list, not totally AI generated scripts, like some people we know. Actually, multi people that we know. But basically, there could be spouse breakups. There could be, I think, medical is a big thing. People's banking goes south. They have where they become homeless because they lose their money. You can become a human ATM. You might actually get robbed. But let me bring the video up, and then we'll go through, because some of it also would include the weather and everything. So this was where near Mindanao, or in Mindanao, the whole side of the road had actually caved in, like they called it a landslide. The weather is the biggest thing here. The rubble, that's part of the landslide. This is it. Not only have they been hit by a bunch of earthquakes, which a lot of people said, they've always been here. Yes, they've always been here. They're just getting stronger and more frequent. Philippines is really known for the earthquakes, and because we're on the Ring of Fire. But this seems to be so common, where coconut trees, like George said, watch out for the coconut trees. It ain't even a joke. Or trees went falling through the house, and I posted that yesterday, that a couple kids had passed away because of it. It just destroys those huts. And of course, there was that story.
Mga basher.
Okay, let's get to this guy. This guy is 9 months pregnant. Not Heidi, 9 months fluffy pregnant. Look at this guy. Okay, so this guy here, okay, I don't know what the deal is, but he appears, I know you guys can't see me using my pointer pointing at him, but even the front side of his groin area looks swollen. But he's either got an oversized tumor in his stomach, he could have parasites from drinking the water. There's a couple things. I am not a doctor. I don't claim to be a doctor like other channels and other people that say they have all these wonderful careers. And I've been in the medical field, but there's definitely something going on. I mean, I wasn't born yesterday. Even parasites can make people look like that, but there's something seriously going on with this guy. But he's claiming that, it's another bad breakup, and basically he's having medical issues, money issues, and I don't have the rest of the story, except for several other Filipinos have picked up on his story with little to no additional information. But he is here in the Philippines, and living in deplorable conditions. So it's really sad. Yeah, I mean, friendly guy and everything. And he's really not saying that. The guy, the audio I have is the vlogger saying, "Oh, I know you guys are going to pick on me. That why am I exposing another expat and all that? I have permission. I'll do a live later." I went and watched his live. He karaoke'd the whole time. Surprise, surprise that the guy didn't say nothing additional and he's just karaokeing. They're either dancing or karaokeing, or they're gossiping about their own country. So, which is fine. It's their country. But he did not say anything additional. And of course, one of my favorite channels is that Carrie, the Tasty Travels, that we've highlighted before, where she helps expats. And just recently, she helped another one, and she's hoping to open up a center to help these expats and everything. So that's wild. I personally, and in photos, not seen a guy with a stomach that big. Now, is that from drinking? Could that be like his liver bloating everything? To me, it looks like it is real. It's not AI. If I was going to make an AI video, I would actually say it was, but that is real. So another homeless expat. There's another one that Carrie covered where literally it started with a stolen phone. I'm trying to figure how a stolen phone made the expat totally homeless. That's what it was linked to. I guess she stole some of his stuff and maybe he couldn't get to his banking. Because I think about, like, officially, I want to let you guys know that I write everything down. I told George, like, all of our passwords, everything's written down because you can't trust the internet. The same with the real photos you want. You're going to want to save your photos because if the internet goes down or something goes permanently wrong, you're going to need all your information. So everything gets written down. So if you do lose your banking, you have all your account numbers and all these other things. Not everybody keeps paper trails. They actually just have everything in their phone, including notes. And we don't do that. But I guess maybe that's what happened to the guy. And boom, he blamed the entire thing on that's why he's homeless, is because first he lost his phone and then something just went south from there. So that is the opening of the story. And if you guys know this guy or know anything additional, let me know. So, and we will start with the comments. And I just want to ask that if you guys are subscribed, make sure you're still subscribed. Several channels are going through where people are being unsubscribed. They had notifications on because the algorithm is shit right now and people are losing numbers. We will not pay for YouTube advertisement. I believe heavily that Google now is pushing people to pay. It's a pay to play now. Others use platforms to, what do you call that? They use farms. Like I've seen somebody today that had 4 people in their room. All of them were members, and they said they had 380 people in there, and it was a Filipino channel. And I'm like, there's no way. There was nobody commenting, and their videos had like 18 views. That's called farming. And I know another channel recently actually covered, after we discussed Google, how it's been a pay to play or blah blah blah. It's been like that for a while. It's been like that for a few years. They pop it up on your videos. We're not going to pay. But also a bunch of people got unsubscribed to a bunch of people's channel. I get people who may not like to watch us, but a lot of them that are watching and interested, they've been unsubscribed, and our numbers have at least went in half. Now our music videos, we expect that, or like our regular content, 700-800 views, but we used to get 1,500 for a live stream, 1,200 by a 24-hour period, and they're dropping to 6 and 7. And we've had a base core now for almost 5 years, so we don't know what's going on. There's something shitty and fishy going on. We think they're just trying to get us to pay. And me and George have discussed that. And we know other channels, once they pay, and we know they do, that you got to keep paying or they're going to cut your numbers back. So they're going through this whole thing, and it's been an up and down. But yeah, good morning, MB. But I appreciate you guys checking. I'd do this live if there were 10 people in the room. Oh, poor Pigsy. Oh, she's so sick. Good morning, Raymond. Hey, second wind, it's Monday, yeah. Power outage tomorrow. Michael, good morning. What is going on? What is going on? Yeah, we got a few new songs. Somebody had asked the other day, they're like, can you give us a link to who did the music? And it's like, we have two programs that we use. It is our lyrics. It's the type of instrument. In other words, we don't do auto. Anybody could just do an auto, and then they'll create whatever. You can just say, hey, give me a jazz song that's this, and that. But no, we say, okay, we want to hear, I had talked about this before, put violin in there, put classic this, make sure it's got more drums, do a echo, do the backup singer. So in other words, we do some creating. Yes, AI is carrying most of the work. Can I sing? Yes. Do I know music? Yes. Add that to my careers, bitches. We've got some obsessed people here lately. Actually, it's not lately. It's been for several years. They've been obsessed with our careers, my medical and everything. And so, but anyways, the music, yes, we've gone through and created, and yeah, we like it. We think it's really great that you can do it that easy. The unfortunate part is in another 10 years, 10 years, it's gonna wipe out a lot of artists. People are just gonna totally buy up AI stuff, like these new AI actors coming in and stuff. But but we appreciate the super fans, and we appreciate everybody watching. Got some lovers and haters and people in the US that are psychos. Psycho family, thank you for watching and being so concerned. What else could go wrong? Your psycho family in America could always be starting shit. Psychos. Heidi and George rocking it. Good morning. RCDM. Great morning, Heidi. Beautiful day in Cavite. Hey, what's going on? Hell, shit could go bad with your spouse. Me and George fight all the time. You think that because we left the U.S. that we don't have disagreements, or he doesn't go to his family's house for a while, the tampo that goes on. Oh, of course it does. And it's like there's no surprise in that shit, because I thought about that. George said in a previous live stream that a Filipino does not have to stay with someone because they moved to the Philippines. There's no in other words, there's no guarantee. You sell everything, you invest all your money, you build her a house. It doesn't mean she's got to keep you. Vice versa. George can just walk out tomorrow and then it's just me here by myself. But I'm not going to run off like a pussy ass bitch and sit there and be like, oh, this is what happened to me and he took all my shit and he's gone. You know what I mean? It's going to happen whether you're here or there. If your relationships are bad in the United States or Canada or the UK, they're going to be bad here. If you're just a bad seed in the US, you're going to be a bad seed here. My attitude and all that other shit didn't disappear because I came to the Philippines. That's for sure. So it's everyday life going on. But yeah, you could break up with your spouse, and this happens all the time. Did we ever get confirmation on Mike's Philippine retirement whether he broke up with his woman? There's rumors everywhere from she's dating regular guy to her being pregnant to I just seen him at one of those Doomageddon parties, but I didn't see her with the women unless she's got a total different look. But I didn't see her at the party with them. She could have been in the house. But yeah, I mean, people break up all the time. It doesn't mean people break up everywhere, but it could be what does you in here, because a lot of guys just pack up and they leave, at least move to another island. Geo broke up with his woman. Geo breaks up all the time. Good morning, Geo. Good morning. All the cats yell, yeah. Mm. Yeah, we got a couple songs here lately. There's another one I want to create. I got America's Broke and everything, and a second one. Raymond said he's just chilling in Las Piñas. I was reading a couple things about different things. I just seen there's been a couple of them. There's been a bunch of wild stories here lately just in Asia. And I'm like, okay, well, it's really not the Philippines, but sometimes you still got to cover Asia because they're, places that people are going to go to eventually. Like they'll go to Thailand, they'll go to Japan. Another story I just seen, I don't know if you guys seen it. There was an Asian guy that was kidnapped in Bangkok, and they tied him to the bed and took his blood and was selling it. Like they literally used him like a vampire situation. They actually strapped him, kept him, and just drained him of his blood and was selling it. Because in certain areas, blood is very valuable. Because like here, if you need blood, they put out like, hey, I need this type of blood, and people look for it and stuff. But they used him as a vessel for blood to keep selling it. I was like, God damn. That's what George was like. God damn. It's like wild. And I seen that article yesterday, some craziness going on. And the other one that I seen was a blind man. Him and his woman must fight all the time. His lady had been dead for a few days. She took her own life, and he didn't know she was dead. And it was in the house. I was like, well, that would seem like George when he doesn't talk to me for a day or something. But he didn't even know it. And I get that he's blind, but if somebody doesn't talk to you that long, I'm assuming it's a tempo or they have their fights or whatever. And yeah, he had to find out from a neighbor or something that she had passed on. And there's been a lot of expats passing away in their apartments, and nobody checks on them. That's the other thing that could go wrong, is that a lot of these guys get here, they initially commit into relationships, they break up, they never get married, they don't have any additional family, they don't talk to family, and they're just here by themselves. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of, if things are tough for you in America or Canada, or I got to mention UK, I mentioned those three countries, and you didn't have anybody there, you definitely don't have anybody here, nobody to check up on you. Depending on the area, you might have neighbors that are concerned that you know. That's why we always say get to know your neighbors and everything. But I even think about here that if George goes out of town for a few days and then I have a heart attack or something, nobody's going to go checking on me after 2 days of not seeing me outside. So it's, you just, there's so many things that could go wrong. I'm all over the place and hopped on coffee. My woman will be here in a few weeks, and your daughter too. I have to get ready for them and get rid of all my honeys. You better get rid of them honeys. I'll send George over there to help you. Yeah. I got my bear shirt. Say, hey, bear. No, poor Pigsy. Got my bear shirt. No, I didn't get one for George on this one. Let's see. My wife cares for 7 cats, 3 dogs, an occasional lizard gecko, I believe. That's like us. We, at one time when we first moved in, we had 13 or 14 cats because we couldn't say no to any of them. George is a pet lover. George had ducks and chickens. He had 2 ducks that he kept in the house with him. And I thought it was strange till I realized a lot of people keep ducks in the house. And he had a couple dogs, and he had some cats and a turtle. And the when we got here, we just started rescuing everything. And we, most of those were kittens at the time. We had one outdoor cat that wasn't ours, that was homeless, that ended up having a bunch of kittens. And we brought him here. We rehomed. We got down to 8. 2 more of them went out. 1 or 2 is currently living outside, but that's where they came from to begin with. And now I think we have 6 in the house, but we have 1 dog outside and 1 inside. But it's a 2-level, 2-bedroom, what I would call, I don't know. I keep calling these townhouses. That's what they would call them in the U.S. It's 2-level houses. And so most of the time they stay upstairs for cat TV and everything. But we like the animals. Dallas, Texas. Hey, that's something else. Dallas, Texas is in the house. Is that you got to be careful with the pets. We're super friendly. George is bringing them home all the time. I'm petting them. Rabies is a real thing here. And you'll see several cases. Matter of fact, pretty close up the street, we passed by and I was like, hey, there's the rabies center. And it is really close. Rabies is a real thing. And no wonder people get nervous because when I open the gate, the dog takes off. Willie will run up and down the street, and I don't think nothing of it. But yeah, it's to be nervous about because it's a death sentence, for the most part. And Yeah. Oh my God, the spiders. Yeah, that's a real thing. They're everywhere. I just seen one that did appear to be a brown recluse. And for those that know me, my right leg, I got bit by a brown recluse out in the Ozarks a long time ago. God, that's got to be currently now probably closer to 30 years. And guys, I'm off on my dates. Take me with a grain of salt. For those that know us, know us. For those that troll, keep on trolling because you love us. And but yeah, because I calculate how old the children are, and I have adult children, and yeah, they were 6 and 7 when I got bit. So yeah, it's been 30 years, not 20. So yeah, but rip my leg up, guys. Totally rip. So every time I see any spider, it trips me out. A stray cat that gives birth to 5 kittens is in our backyard. Oh, is bringing rats as big as the squirrels. Oh my God, you had to bury him. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Probably not, but I guess if you ask it, it can do you one. Maybe we ought to do a Samage AI thing. When I lived in the Philippines, I started to feel stuck. Somebody asked me just in the last live stream if, like, kind of like I regretted coming here situation, or would I have considered whether I was going to come here or not. And I did it mostly for George. I mean, I just didn't sit there and say, hey, I'm going to go get, like I say, my duck sucked and let me go get a girlfriend because my wallet's leading, or I can't find a man in America, and all this shit is going on. No, it was because it was in the middle of the pandemic and it was better to take the savings because we were just going to do it down the road. And there was a lot going on. And I'm like, let's go now situation. And it was for that purpose. But sometimes I do because I miss family. And when you sell everything and then you start burning through your savings, and kind of like what we are, we're just living on X amount of money. We never claim to be rich or have 10 TVs in our house. That it does come to a point where I feel that. And yeah, it's because I got a lot of time on my hands. What expat doesn't? So retirement in itself is another puzzle in your life, because there'll be stages. We did a whole live stream on the stages of retirement. You get here and you go through this, okay, I'm not working anymore. You go through these stages of like regret and that you'd come here, and then you feel lost because you're not doing your job anymore. And then you go through, okay, these guys will get a business, they get a girlfriend, they try to reinvent themselves. I went through all of that, but I had already been on disability since 2011. So it's I've already been semi-retired with the thing. But when you have somebody like George that had been working all the time and we were always active, and then you just go down to nothing, then you start picking on each other. You can only do so much stuff when you got here. We do what we did in the United States is what we basically do here. You go into a form of boredom and everything. And it's I do feel trapped sometimes because I do spend a lot of time at home. I have multi-medical conditions, okay, hence my disability. The biggest one is lupus, and I can't be out in the sun much additional because of all the different medical conditions I have. And I'm stuck on different levels. It's like I'm stuck with George. So there's a lot, and a lot of people regret coming to the Philippines. It's an easy landing pad to Asia. We've discussed that. In other words, before they go other places, because there's a percentage that speak decent English here and they're friendly, and because it's cheap, and there's so many ties to the Philippines that are Western. A lot of people will land here and give it a try. A lot of them end up going to other places: Thailand, Vietnam, Japan. I think it's a landing spot. So you either love it or you don't. It's always that either love it or hate it. Somehow I'm dangling more on the side of loving it, but I don't no longer sit there and say, damn, I got to get out of here, or I hate it. Because there was a point where that's where I was, because I didn't have to like the Philippines. You're not going to get me to sit here all positive. I've been talking about doing an entire positive live stream of the Philippines. In other words, I was just going to smile and say, but it's like, If I was in the US, I'd be bitching, like I said before, about the US or in Mexico or whatever's going on. It's just where it would actually be. I'm not here to promote it. So, in other words, I'm not doing tourism and everything. So, but I was not happy. The weather was hotter than I thought. The infrastructure and how dirty it was, the way they were handling the pandemic. Remember, I was locked down for 10 days during the pandemic, and they made us pay for separate hotel rooms. And a shitty hotel that costs $12 or $18 a night, they made us pay $1,000 to stay there for 10 days. It was shitty, and they made us go separate. As soon as we were in there, they changed the rules. They're always changing rules. So there was a lot going on when I first got here. And I've been around the world. I even was in Egypt for a while, and this is nothing compared to even Egypt. So you have to adjust. You either can or you can't. And I feel the ones that are, I'm going to leave that one to myself. I was going to say something else. Let's see. Doo-doo. Better turn that on, because more than likely there's going to be a delivery today. We keep getting new delivery drivers. Yeah, another earthquake again. Came up in the chart 5.63 in Mindanao, showed 17 hours ago. There's so many of them, this goes off all the time. Okay, 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, unfortunately, he's going to have to get muted because this guy comes at all different hours. I mean, it's up to him when he's delivering and doing stuff, but usually he comes between 2 p.m. and 6, and he was doing really well, and then all of a sudden he starts showing up at 8 and 9. And I told the guy, I said, I do live streams, and I tried, but none of them here did. Just not going to get the package today. He will have to come back. Okay, I think I put that up. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Lou, I get that feeling. Yeah, you just feel stuck, especially, I mentioned that before, and I think that's when George says you never really, you don't have to be stuck, or if you're breaking up with your lady. We kind of went through something similar, and I'm like, yeah, actually, you are, a lot of us. When you sell your cars and you get rid of them, and a lot of guys are selling their house or all their furniture, and you had a house full of stuff, and we had 2 houses full of stuff, and you already say your goodbyes, and you, like us at that time, we spent several thousand on our tickets that were one way. Why? Because it was really expensive in the pandemic. You start blowing through your savings. In a sense, you are stuck. That's when you need your oh shit money and at least a plane ticket home. But that doesn't mean I have all the deposits. You know what I mean? So then you're putting deposits and buying a car when you get back. I feel stuck in that manner. I feel stuck that my husband's Filipino and he's here. Now, officially, if we had to go back, we would have to go through and apply for a bunch of shit. So he's been here in the Philippines long enough, we'd have to reapply. It would, and I wouldn't go back right now anyway. So, but you kind of get the point. There is a stuck level. So, and I just completed all my immigration here and invested money into that over the years. So it's like, yeah, what am I going to come back when I'm 70 or something and restart all over again, sell what I have in America, come back? So it is a stuck feeling. And I don't like feeling like that. I don't like feeling, and it's weird for me to be the foreigner. When I've been in the US, I've dated several foreigners. British, I was with Middle Eastern guys, I was with George, and it's like they were the foreigners. Now, officially being here for 5 years, it's kind of like now I get that feeling of how they felt. I try to question George. George is the wrong one to question about how he felt. Did he feel foreign? He's passive. He'll just say, no, not really. But everybody else I was with would be like, yeah, it's really weird. So, because you're adjusting to the culture and everything. And George is just a smooth operator. You know what I mean? Nothing gets to him. And but it does for us here. And so it is kind of odd being the other person. Hey, good morning, Thera. What is going on? Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't show the. Yes, that is real. For those that are in, I will see if I can add that again. Let me go in and grab that video, show it one more time. It's a clip of where there was the landslide. And then there is an expat that's up and coming. I think he's got worms or a tumor. So tree fell on the house. I mean, it's crazy. A lot goes on here. Yes, that's real. That is not AI. That is an American expat that's basically homeless at a Filipino's house and was given permission, and he's all over Facebook. So, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't want to do just a live stream, but I'm like, medical will probably be your biggest problem here because you're not going to be able to use your Medicare no matter what people say. Some claim they've been reimbursed. You can get an insurance, but a lot of you guys are over 40 with medical conditions. I'm not paying $600 a month. I'm not going to pay $500 a month to keep insurance with all my medical conditions. So, because there are months I don't use anything at all. So, I'm not going to go through that. That's for me. Okay. And I did cancel the other side of my Medicare recently because I've already put $12,000 into it that's coming out of my checks that are there's no getting that back, and I haven't been able to use it. So I just have the hospitalization, which means when I go back, if I ever had to go back for heart surgery or something else, I would deal with that when I got back to the US or something. But so I'm kind of stuck, and I knew that, and anything that comes on me would be on me. So, yeah, so no, that's real, guys. These days with AI, you can and can't tell. I can decipher, but yeah, they can make videos like this for AI, but it is real, 100%. The vlogger was Filipino. He said that he was going to do a live and talk more about it, and like I said, he ended up karaokeing the whole time. For those that are joining, yeah, I mean, but parasites can do that. He could get so severely bloated like that. It could be, and it wouldn't surprise me because a lot of people, the guy's like, oh, I drink water, no big deal, but you can get really sick from the water in Asia. You really can. Could have drank the water out of a river. I don't know. He's got fluid buildup possibly and needs to be drained. Ugh. Yeah, that's to me, the only time I've seen that also on a body is when it's starvation. Because at some point the stomach will bloat really bad like that. You've seen the children and adult, the women and stuff where they're just all skeleton and their stomachs are really that bad. But it's, yeah. Yeah, of course it does. That's kind of like me with my weight. The weight puts strain on everything. It's, on my back, on my legs, it's circulation. It's not easy. Looks like he's gonna have more than that. Hey Papa, what's going on? Oh yes, for every pound you lose, it reduces stuff on your knees and all of that. Yeah, the guy 100% lives here. He was there having dinner with a Filipino, and even that looked, the place that where he is really appears to be really a poor area. The video was very in a bad area. Yeah, your knees. Well, that was my question, if he had cirrhosis of the liver or something dealing with his liver, but how come other people's stomachs don't bloat up like that? Yeah. Let me check something. Could be. There's several things. Like I said, I'm not even going to pretend on that stuff. It can some. It's showing photos. Yeah, because I'd mentioned the alcoholism, cirrhosis of the liver. Yeah, it could actually cause And there you're talking about the most common on the bloating would be liver disease, especially cirrhosis. But that's really, no, I guess so. So the initial, yeah, I just found another photo. So then it's from him. Yeah, there is a few of them. You're right. I'm seeing some as severe as his. So yeah, the cirrhosis of the liver. Parasites and starving can cause it, showing some of the same photos. But yep, I guess it is. And I don't know all medical terms. Not going to claim I do. Is that called ascites or something? Yeah. So yeah, that's, he could have liver disease. So I said cirrhosis. And what's going on? What's up in George? Wherever he may be sleeping today. So he sleeps everywhere. Let's see. Nah, today he added stuff with his uncle. Usually he's sleeping. No, for those that are just joining, we usually do live streams on Tuesdays. He was going to be in the thing, and he already scheduled stuff with his uncle, and he probably went over there and just took a nap. I keep unsubscribing, and damn, YouTube keeps adding me back, right? Yeah, the same as everywhere. If you think your retirement was going to be rough in the US, you're just coming here. Someone asked, or we discussed that full thing about the US government and what if they take Social Security or reduce it. There was a whole thing on it during the last live stream. And it's like, I'm going to get my hustle on. Of course. It's like, you know, it would just be a matter of, doing something. And of course, I have a husband that's capable of working, but I'm just not going to sit here and lay on the street either. I'm not a fool. So even if it would actually kill me, I'm not going to sit there and go up the street and beg for money from, the guy that lives up the street and all this other stuff. You'd have to get stuff done. But I think losing your money and your income and your bank accounts, like people lose their bank accounts because they attach them to family members' houses, or their mail rejects from them international mailboxes, or they go and something happens with the PIN and they lock up the accounts. There's been several of them that have lost their Social Security checks due to that. And so losing your money would be the biggest, scariest thing for guys here. And there are over 35,000 people on Social Security. So in that, whatever that time frame they're talking about, they cut a percentage of Social Security. Those guys are already struggling over here. There are some months we go through $2,000 a month and we're not traveling anywhere. It depends on the medical, if the cats are sick. It depends on if we're buying a major thing, like when we got the dehumidifier. Recently, we got the treadmill that I'm using. So there are always some sort of expenses coming up or things going on with the car that needs to be repaired. There's expenses, guys. And so if these guys lose a portion of their money, yeah, they're going to be in trouble. Hence why I think a lot of them are doing YouTube that are going at it full force. I noticed that old dog slowed down on his vlogs. There are some that go hardcore because they need money. They're raising kids. They're doing things. I get it, but YouTube just ain't going to get it anymore. So, anyone been to Dublin? No, not Ireland. Unless that's Dublin, like Ohio, or I checked, I was unsubscribed. Yeah, I noticed some of the people I was subscribed to, it was unsubscribed. So it is hard saying these days. And it's not what gets us paid. A lot of people think with a big subscriber number, it automatically means views too. Some people either watch or they don't. A lot of people are unsubscribed that watch our videos. We have the trolls that love watching us, and so they could talk about us. You have the ones that are hardcore that want to see what's really going on. Like a lot of people don't even care that we're in the Philippines. They say, oh, well, you just sit on a couch, and there's nothing going on. And it's like, hey, I'm still here in the Philippines. I'm still trying to give a little bit of words, some advice here and shit. But a lot of people just want to see if I'm going to pop off or smack George or what's going on with the cats. We're like an entertainment center all in one. Oh, Pigsy, you are just so stinking cute. Let's see if we can get. Let's see Pigsy Cam. Hey, Pigsy. Oh, see her sleeping. She's sick. Poor Pigsy Bear. She's been really sick. But yeah, that doesn't get us paid. A lot of people think the numbers are is an indication, and all I know is an indication that's 100% real per a Google real YouTube manager, not one you pay for, not a celebrity, whatever. It comes directly from Google. Is the average views are 10 anywhere from 10% to 5. So anything over 10% would just be unnatural. The same with it's only 1% on the comments. So whatever your views are, usually the comment section should be 1% of the views. If you see somebody with 10,000 views, and I'll talk about it again because other channels are talking about the shit, and we've been in the game and we have a manager, so they're talking out their ass as always, that if anybody has those type of numbers, they're not real. You can't have 10,000 views and 4,000 comments. It never works like that in any manner. It's not normal. I seen someone that had something like that the other day, and there was comments on top of comments, and it was an AI video of the Philippines, and somehow they got 110,000 views. No, that's paid advertisement. You paid your advertisement. Does it matter? No, not really. I'm just calling your asses out. So it's just like, and do people care? Probably not. So I'm still just talking shit. So, but everyone is here. Click the like button. Yeah, let's do the like button. Do the like button. I'm thinking of a birthday trip next year. Okay, you can see that. That's cute. Oh, okay, you're a Belfast guy. Belfast, like Dublin. Hey, Sarah. Good morning, sweetie. I do a lot, Sarah. Just don't do it like, I mean, I joke around on and I do like, I do the karaoke. I'll break out the microphone here, and I only get George to do like the zombie song with me on the occasion. But everybody's voice changes. Yeah. Oh, look, I'm appreciated. I'll sit down somewhere. Maybe we'll make you a sandwich. Hey, Columbus, Ohio, a Buckeye is in the house. Oh my God. It reminds me. I was telling you guys, I've been watching different shows here lately. I guess because they had that. I was talking about the last time, the Ed Gein and stuff. Now they're feeding me everything Ed Gein everywhere. And here's the scary part of how much phones listen in on you. Something Jeffrey Dahmer came up, right? And they had like a court TV of him on there. And the guy was like, the craziest thing that creeped me out was a lava lamp. And I was telling George that. I was talking to him on the phone, and I said, yeah, he mentioned the creepy part was the lava lamp. And don't you know, in my Facebook feed for Lazada, they started showing lava lamps. And that was from talking on the phone. I was like, that is creepy. So I guess Ohio reminded me of where some of those serial unalivers are. So now I'm getting all that. Oh, Pigsy. Ah, hell no. If my Filipino will do that, he will not be coming back, right? They're a different breed. I give you that. Most definitely. I will say, and I've said this before, and I don't care if he likes it when he watches the relive, he's changed since he's been here. In America, he was a total different person. He was different in Florida. I consistently have been a bitch. I'm sorry, my consistency of being a nut house has not changed. This nut wheel keeps turning. You know what I mean? But it seems like since he's come back, I don't know if now he's got the upper hand because of his family here and he sets the rules more than you guys know. He'll do it when he's ready, how he's ready, and I pretty much get a attitude half the time is what I've had, so it's been a real struggle. It could be in my head. I don't know if anybody noticed when they take their Filipina, like if you guys were originally met in America, did it happen to you? Or vice versa, when you got your husband back to America, did something happen with you as a Filipino? I don't know, but something has switched. He is going through that change after he turned 50, could be the issue. And then, of course, recently and sadly, he had his uncle, not his uncle, he was taking care of his uncle, but his dad and grandmother passed away in a very short period. So I'll give him that. And he was not talking to me. So George tends to be very isolated as far as opening up, and he treats me like he's not very open. We've talked about that before. And it's not easy. And that's what I'm here to talk about is just different things. In other words, you might experience that with your Filipino. I've dated a lot of foreign men, been married to foreign men, and George is out there as far. And I now notice it's a pattern that I'm seeing with a lot of Filipinos. Could be an Asian thing, I don't know. And that's truth. Nicest people, but can be strange. If you want a stress-free retirement in the Philippines, don't get married or have kids. Yeah, just hire a maid and cook and clean. Yeah, and get a freelance. Yeah, I would kind of agree with that. You'd ask me in my 20s, I'd have been like, you know what I mean? But now it's like bring her home and let her clean the house. And honestly, I don't even care if I'd ever find out George is cheating on me. I'm just beyond all that shit. He's either men are going to cheat on you or they're not, and all of this. And it's like I'm not going to sit around and worry about that situation, but you do add stress. It is more stressful to stay in a marriage than it is to, people who say their marriage is perfect and they never go through this. You always got them naysayers that are like, oh, nothing ever happens to me in the Philippines, or nothing ever is bad with my marriage and all that. And I'm like, okay, well, you're one in a million. It's a good situation, but these guys come straight in here. They start vlogging and complaining about everything. Then I'm talking about like complaining about the vlogging part of it. And then they get married, they have kids, and it's like, it's crazy. I don't get it. I can't see it. I saw a t-shirt the other day said, I'm with my woman until she finds her forever home. That's cute. Yeah. I'm not going anywhere now. I don't want to be a blood vessel. That was crazy. Oh my God, let me see. I've got it here. I couldn't believe it, man. Here, I'll show it. You guys think I'm making this shit up. It was crazy. What I do is when I see a story, I'll send it to my own messenger and stuff. And I'm like, did that really just happen? And then the old guy with the dead wife in the house. Yeah, $18,000. That's him being drained of his blood. They literally kidnapped the guy in Asia. Man was kidnapped under a false job offer and he was sold to a gang as a blood slave. Okay? For $18,000. And I'm like, Mama needs a vacation and I could use some veneers and a perm. Like I'm gonna get more perm, you know what I mean? It's like, wow, man. It's like making Charlie chips out of Charlie. You know what I mean? You guys, does anybody remember from Ohio, Charlie chips? They used to deliver like chips in these metal tins. It was like in the late 70s and 80s in Ohio. I don't know if that was just up north or. So you think I was making that crap up, man? That's insane. 18,000. The gangs they're doing a lot of that here lately. Like I just seen another group of Filipinos, they leave and are promised these jobs everywhere, and they even pay money to get to those jobs, and they get to those countries and they put them in brothels and lock them down in call centers. They come from other areas and come into Pampanga and get locked down, and it's like, I get it. It's just kind of crazy. I had my neighbor, around my place text me asking if I was alive last week since I was a bit of a hermit. I mean, I'm a hermit naturally, but just due to my anxiety but like my medical just definitely keeps me in. But it was like that before I left and came here. So for sure. And then the pandemic didn't help. Like everything caused no movement. So the few times I would go somewhere in the week, all of a sudden got taken away. Wasn't like out 7, 8 times a day. I just saw a YouTuber with a big channel who got diagnosed with brain cancer. He's headed back to the UK for surgery by himself, and his wife and daughter stayed behind. Well, then there's several of them that are sick because, of course, we talked about Monty Crew. He's got all kinds of cancer going on, and he's got lung cancer too. He just showed us photos recently, and I feel so bad. He's got a daughter too, but he's going to stay. So he's running a GoFundMe and everything, and that could become the probability. Most Social Security and pensions for the average person here and some of their savings gets them by until something major happens. But it's kind of like they may be thinking like me that it would happen to me in the US, whether I had to have, like I was saying, a roof put on the house or, a major, like a transmission put in my car or a major medical that wasn't paid for by my current medical, or a trip, or somebody passes away and you're paying for an expensive funeral in the US. So much can wipe you out. And with the economy over there now, it's really, really tough. But medical is a good chance that this situation is something that could really go wrong. I put that on top of the top three: is the medical, your banking and money, like your access to your debit cards, and just the really bad weather. Like let's see, it's October now. So for the last seems 6 months, it's been raining almost constantly. And then it's extremely hot. Then you have the humidity, and it depends on the areas, but it's most of the story. And then you have the earthquake scaring the shit out of you. And then you got these typhoons coming through, and is your road going to get wiped away? And you think it's not you, and then boom, it's you. So can you deal or not? Or are you just rolling the dice? Should call it rolling the dice in the Philippines. Hell, I can't remember today's date, right? No, it looks like another channel took it upon themselves to talk about trolls and everything, and they fed the troll by doing the content. And for about 5 years since we've entered the country, we've had the same troll that bitches about our careers, bitches about my medical, that I'm lying, and it's petty. This is an older person sitting around being petty about whatever. And the dates now, they're bitching about the dates of when George graduated, and it's like, you're not going to bitch about the other shit in my life. That's what you want to pick on, is our careers and that we didn't do. And it's like, it's so petty, it's petty. But when another channel or two picks up to do content because they're contacting them too, it's petty. And so it's like, see ya. And it's like, I get dates mixed up all the time. I say things all the time. I never said I was fucking accurate. And if I want to make shit up and you don't want to watch, then don't watch. But these people for 5 years, one person that's a vlogger, has watched everything all the way through and just repeats the stuff in a list and an entire tons of paragraphs. They spend at least an hour creating a new account and writing this just to send. They're obsessed. And I can think of 4 channels that are fully obsessed with us, where 2 of them are in America. And it's like, you're a joke, right? And just because someone gets dates mixed up, that just makes us old. So it's like, you're sad. You're really sad. And it's sad that the other vloggers covering it when they have such a great life. It's beyond sad. That means they're obsessed too. So all of a sudden, a bunch of vloggers in Angel City have become once again obsessed with us. And it's like, oh, like I said, it's free advertisement. I mean, go on. And then, of course, I have a psycho sister that keeps putting stuff out there. Could be her. I have one psycho sister that never stops. So it's like, get over yourself. Heidi, my wife captures strays, yeah, and has them fixed and vaccinated. I asked her how does she know that they're strays. And seriously, well, we got to be careful because, oh, poor Pixie. Now she's covering her face. Pixie, I wondered about because we see her dad outside. A lot of people don't claim them outside, but once they're born on the outside of their house, we just know that, or we know they have a collar on. But Pigsy had like grease and dirt, and she looked like she had part mange and everything when we found her, and she was by the trash can trying to get to food. And so that's when we took her in when she was a kitten. But we kind of know that was like Mommy Cat. Mommy Cat had her kittens outside. She's always since a kitten. We watched her hide behind tires across the street. Small cat running around. She grew up living in the yard and sleeping with Willie. She got pregnant. We did not have her fixed at that time. She technically wasn't ours. And she got pregnant and she had the kittens on the inside of the e-trike. And then it was raining when it happened. They were soaked. And George's like, don't do it, don't do it. And I was like, I have to bring them in. I'm not going to leave them out there to drown. And of course, we had 4 more in. Mommy and the other cats were fighting after. Of course, it was because the kittens, once the kittens grew up, she was still fighting. She kept going outside all the time. So now Mommy is the only one that comes in and out of the house. And we have 2 of the kittens. The third one passed away. So he got the upper respiratory and then died. During the rainy season, they seem to get sick. So, oh, I'm itchy today. Sorry, guys. The stray cats in my backyard, and I don't know what I'll do on the winter. I don't want to touch them; they might bite. Yeah, it's a very bad. It's really bad. But here's the thing: I love animals more than I do people, and I love the animals more than I love George. I love pizza more than I love George. But hey, it's hard to say no to the animals and everything. It really is. I look at life. Do I regret things? No, everything is an adventure. That's a good way to look at it. I just call a new chapter in life. Or you got to push through. It looks like my grandson is going through growing stages of being a teenager and he's just grumpy all the time. I was like, shit, you did it. I told his mother, you went through that. I went through that. We all go through stages. But you have to, it's going to be a new chapter. It's how you push through it. For me, if I'm in a bad mood or something's bothering me, no matter what it is, I always, once I go to sleep and take either a nap or go to bed, I just clear my head. I don't hold on to shit forever. I might mention it down the road. Okay. It doesn't mean I'm dwelling on it like a troll. I mean, these trolls are, obsession is something totally different. For George, sometimes he holds on to the same shit for a long period of time. I can think of several grudges for about 2 years he's been holding on to, and one has been close to 6 years. And you just have to start new. And I keep telling him that. I'm like, if I'm not talking about it, how come you are? And once George is set on something, you'll never get him to do it again. He used to dust. And I said something one day when I seen it, I was like, wow, this is dirty. He took it so I wasn't even talking to him. I said it out loud. He hasn't dusted since. He's held an attitude and a grudge ever since. I'm like, man, you need to move on. I was just reading Thera's thing here. Hey, good morning, Sperlin. What is going on? What is that? I do miss my Lowe's and Home Depot. There's a lot of stuff I miss in the U.S. I miss having my car in the oversized roads because I won't drive here. There's no way. And it does stop me. It's a lot of that puts me in my tracks of waiting for a grab, waiting for a cab, or getting in the back of this car that George was given by his family because it's tiny. It's tinier than a little Volkswagen Bug, and I'm 6 foot tall and plus size. Okay, not too plus size. I can't wear plus size Korean sizes, but plus size enough. I'm big, and with my legs and circulation, it's not comfortable being in the back of those tiny cars. But if I gotta wait for a grab, you could be waiting 20, 30 minutes at the mall, and it's just like sometimes that's too much for me when I can barely move at the end of the day situation. So I'm limited on doing things because, one, I don't have my car. If I would have just got in my SUV and just took off, that'd be something a little different. So I do miss being able to drive. I do miss being with family. There's a lot of things, that come to mind. At first it was certain foods, but you find them or you adjust to. I never thought about adjusting to products long term. I've been in other countries and used things short term, but then you realize what mayo to use, and a lot of people don't think those things add up. They add up in time. You can either get over it, or it's like, god damn, I can't find a decent mayo. Then you make mayo, like a lot of stuff I do from scratch. $18. $18,000. It was 18,000, and I'm like, Mama could use a new car. Yeah, that was something like me and George have long conversations, like after watching the Jeffrey Dahmer and watching these airport shows. Now there's a new show we started watching where they do evictions in the UK. Like they get the courts will give them the documents and they start repossessing stuff, and the repossession shows. But for me, it's the psychology side of it. What was they thinking? Like this one. I'm more fascinated with why. Or what brought him to the point, or um, it's more of like people, like they like to be sleuths, they like to figure things out. So it was quite fascinating, and that's me and George sometimes just say, damn, that's genius. And then people are like, God, you guys are sick. And it's like, actually, it's kind of almost genius that somebody would kidnap somebody to sell them for their blood. It's horrible. I'm not condemning it. It's really a horrible act, but it's like, God damn, what's up? You have to, people are sick, It's like, but that's not like the worst of the worst. We discussed a few years ago a place off in Africa. They were snagging trike drivers and they chained them inside of barns, and they were selling off their parts and bits on everything, and they were eating on them. I'm like, holy shit. And so these drivers were just disappearing. They still do. And they had them way out in the woods, and one of them got away. But lots of them. We're not talking even 17 like Jeffrey Dahmer. We're talking hundreds from one person. And it's like, you guys don't hear about that shit, but yet they go on forever about Dahmer. No, the world's a crazy place, man. Crazy. Second one, yes, I feed mine too, but I can't bring him in the house. Yeah, I'm scared. I provide a warm spot. Yeah, we had to stop because, like George said, I ran out in the rain, no bra, looking like shit and everything. And I started to grab a kitten that was outside crying. And when I went to go pick him up, well, actually, the trike driver picked him up. He, like, half his face was practically missing. He was severely sick. He probably passed away that night. And we don't have to pay every single vet bill. We don't get incoming money like some of the shelters do. And I felt really bad, but I was like, George yelled across the street. He says, you can't infest he called it a her, I called it a pride or a herd. We can't invest, and we can't get the other ones sick based on that. I call them herd. But we can't. And so I said, put him down. We can't take him in. And yeah, it just risked everybody else. But I really want to save them all. It's really sad. It's kind of like when I keep seeing these people in the neighborhood. I know it's a total different subject. Like I said, there was a whole group of people today up the street. They're there every day. And when I first moved in a couple years ago in this location, I was always giving money. George says, don't give them money at the door. Don't give the kids stuff every time they come. But I did. And then, of course, I complained about later because we couldn't get the kids to go away. Now we've trained the kids. They don't come around much anymore. But the group of them started coming towards me after I was, cleaning up after the dog outside today. And I'm like, nope, let me get inside. Because if I just hang out there, they eventually stop, turn back around, and then they come and ask. And it's just like, I have to, oops, sorry, sweetie. I have to actually tell them no. It really hurts. I want to do it, but they just keep doing it. And then it's kind of, I lived in Iloilo, now in Lapita province. If I could do it all over again, I would have stayed near the casino, food, shopping, candies. Well, and that's another thing. I've been pushing George to go move further out in the province. At first, we didn't have a car or an e-trike. We were just strictly on the grabs. And his brother, a couple years ago, and his mom, they gifted him one of the used cars. His brother had multiple cars for Christmas. And uh, after that, we are like, okay, maybe. But then, like George said, like he's not here. I'd say at least half the time he's not even in the house. And it's the same as the U.S. Matter of fact, 3/4 of the time he went around between his job and his friends, and he has a life. It's not like couples stay on top of each other. And so he's going to be like, well, what if you need this? I find all the time I'm ordering stuff. I have groceries delivered. I got packages coming in. You go further out in the province, these things slow down and it takes longer to get things. I get stuff from China within a few days. I get items from Manila within a day or so. I don't know. I would miss a lot of that stuff. So we stay here, literally a hospital across the street, 2 miles to the airport, 2 miles to all the malls, 3 miles I think is the other mall, SM. I don't know. And to me, it's still small city compared to being near the Tampa area or like being in New York or something. But it's still everything is here. There's good and bad. My brother's wife retired and got a place or a condo in Las Vegas because she wanted to live near the shopping centers. Yeah. Are you on a spouse visa? SRV could get your deposit back when you leave. Yeah, no, I'm on the spousal visa. Now I would recommend if people have that opportunity, they definitely start out doing that. I didn't want to give up deposits and go through all of this stuff. And so for me, the spousal was the better one. And there was something else about the SRRV. I know the biggest thing is you have to pay a yearly fee. It's 300 and something dollars. I don't pay that with the spousal visa. The reason people would, if they can afford to go ahead and pay those all the time, is because if they break up with their woman, like let's say me and George get a divorce or we go through shit, I would have to reapply and get something else or leave. I would have to see which. But an SRV, people aren't threatened by their woman all the time. You will get the women that'll say, "I'm going to contact immigration, and that's it. I'm going to have yours taken." Remember that couple? I forgot their God. What was their name? The ones that were the construction builders. It seemed like they went back and forth with that situation of the threat. So you may have your Filipino say, "Hey, you're going to lose your, spouse visa based on, you just have to reapply." So sometimes it's better to just get straight to it. But yeah, I got mine a while back. So I went through the temporary and I've had my permanent for a while. I call my relationship a reverse LDR, right? Sarah said, I want my beach to visit and jungle in my 3,000 square meters, but I have to grow it myself. Not sure if I'll live long enough to have one since I'm already old. I hear ya. Never say never, Thera. The dream big. Yeah, we got beachfront on a small island here. Can U.S. citizens apply for PhilHealth? Yes, the answer is yes. I thought someone said that we could use it as a supplement. Yes, any expat can, and it wasn't always like that. When I came in, which has been close to 5 years, I think they had just started the program where they could. So it's a few $100s a year, and it covers some bare minimum. If your spouse already has PhilHealth, as I'm to understand, I forgot. You'll have to check into that. I'm not all up into that, but I thought you're allowed to be added to it. But if they don't have it at all, then you have to apply for it on your own. But yes, people that are staying here permanently, yes, can apply. Expats can. I think it's 3 or 4. It's based on your income, I thought. So somewhere 15, 18,000 pesos a year. And there's registration times, but I guess it's better than nothing, but it's not full payment and it's better than nothing. Yes. And they are adding more and more stuff to it. And of course, her qualifications. Yeah. So now we're figuring it was probably the liver issues. He was probably a severe drinker. Whose ass was posting at 4 a.m. this morning? That would be me. 4 a.m.? Was it 4 a.m.? It could be. That could be George. This morning I had the alarm set for 5 a.m. That then would have been George. So because I didn't get up till 5, because usually I am up that early, but remember George stays up all night, so we're on total different schedules sometimes. My roommate did that. My Filipino guy said he can provide for me with his 500 pesos a day income. Yeah, still amazed. I was talking about that new Walter Mart open, and the people are still talking about it. I'm going to save some money before I go there because they've got some sort of cake shop in there, and their cakes are 1,000 pesos. And they've got where they do like the party stuff. So it starts at 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. And to me, if you had 4 or 5 people there and it was a holiday, you'd need 2 sets of that food easy. So I'm like, who's got 8,000 pesos for some spaghetti, and which is 160 bucks? And it's like, that's a lot of money. Some Filipinos individually are making 15 and 20,000 a month, and I don't know where they would get 8,000 to get that stuff. So it is to me Western prices, of course, in these places, and it has all the Western restaurants in there and all that. And but it's, people are like, oh, I'm waiting to go and everything, but it is a strange balance. George mentioned when he was here the last time about how Filipinos really seem to have money here. And he said it's just not him. His uncles and family keep talking about, they look around, they got the cars, they got the clothes. They talk about, they're not really bragging. They're just talking naturally about this vacation. And I bought a washer. And we're talking about a real washer. We don't even have a real washer. We got one of those double spinner guys, which I'm grateful for. And it's like, it's not an automatic one. We're not spending a few hundred US dollars on one, but people have this stuff here. I don't know how, because the jobs don't pay out that. It's got to be the OFW money, some online money, some other money. It's kind of crazy. And nobody here on the street seems to work. I'm sure of that. Everybody is home all the time for the most part. Always here, always at all hours in their yards and up early and every day of the week. George's like, I don't think anybody works. I said, I think so too. So it boggles the mind. I guess never figured that one out. Wonder if me and George could open a bar for guys to be in thongs. Oh, we could put you guys, yeah, maybe get you guys in purple thongs. I think they've got them on Walking Street. They've got the men bars, the gay bars, the Magic Mike bars. They've got just about anything. What does blow my mind, let me mention this. I think it's called Sky Bar, and I know what the place looks like. I know where it's located. They're wanting, was it 8,000 pesos too? 7,900 pesos, something for New Year's. And it's promising a dinner and drinks and DJs. I'm like, who can afford that to go to a place on Walking Street for that kind of money? It's like, I wouldn't pay 150 a night to go to Candy Palace for a party. Why would I go to this bar, which is insignificant? I think it's a Korean bar. And I'm like, that's a lot of money here. If I can't make that $150 back in a decent job, I'm not going to go spending that kind of money. Where are these ritzy titsy fitsy people at? It's crazy. You're wearing poor George out. He's a small man and his body just can't handle it. All that pounding is why he sleeps so much, right? It's like, nah, it used to be like that, like 3 times a day pounding on that boy. And it's like all relationships, like George said, the honeymoon's over situation. Now it's just like, as soon as he gets done with the lives, George is like, he sleeps everywhere. He's falling asleep at the malls, and he falls asleep at the family house, restaurants. He can sleep anywhere. So, oh, hi. Does anybody know why cats' claws don't retract? 2 of our cats, their claws do not go back in. The black one here, hi. The black one does not. He's got his claws out. 2,000 pesos or dollars. No way. That's a lot of money in the Philippines. Yeah, I'm not sure which. Yeah, I think it was pesos. Because the only one I was talking about was the 18,000 was US dollars. Yeah, there's been some crazy stuff. The cost, it just keeps blowing my mind. And of course, if anything is Western, of course you're going to pay for it. Like I got a keto ice cream the other day. It was 499 pesos, and it's keto. They got it in America, but I think at that time it was $6 or $7. But it's so that would be about $10 here. So you're paying a couple dollars more on top of it. And I thought about George, like, you paid $10 for that. I said, leave me alone. You know what I mean? But it was mint chocolate chip ice cream. It's one of my I like the candy cane flavor ones, or with the little candies, or the actual the mint chocolate chip. But it's at that cost. I will make it the next time. There's different things you can do to make it, but it was insane. Being a YouTuber content creator has got to be difficult to create new and exciting videos. It is. And then it doesn't matter unless YouTube is a business. I agree with the other channels that YouTube is a business and people look at it that way. And you got like people like the P that scripts and pays for advertisement and goes through. It's her whole living. She had a nice little job before all that happened, and she wasn't doing it no more, and she went into content creating, and she got some advice from some people, got some help on the side, and treats it like a business. And it isn't easy coming up with content ideals, and it was something we struggled with. And it's we just don't have it like that to flip on and talk about anything and get away. Although there were days we did that, we were live almost every day in the beginning. And it takes a little bit, but it doesn't matter. I've seen the best channels with the best intention, the best editors get 200 views. I've seen live stream with 4 people in it, and they've been around for years and years. And then I've seen a woman yesterday that had 200,000 subscribers and had 400 people in the room, and she was sleeping in her bed. And it wasn't an Asian chick, it was an American chick. And she wasn't really attractive. I didn't get it. I was like, this is nuts. Who would go in and watch a woman, and she's not in a nightie or anything, watch her sleep? It must have been a bunch of kids in there making their comments. They were like, oh, wake up, wake up. And I'm like, who takes the time to go in there? But yet people on serious topics will not go in and make a discussion with people. So it's a hit and miss who gets numbers. And now, like I said, it's pay to play. So it's never easy. And then you have the trolls. And in the beginning, we had tons of them. And then I admitted in the beginning it bothered me. And then during that whole Andy bullshit and the other people, it's like, y'all sitting around talking about our sex life. Y'all going to sit around talking about me being big. And y'all want to sit around. I'm like, you know what? Grow up, guys. And so you got a bunch of childish people that are more than likely and are overweight and in, just bad shape. It's because their lives suck out the ass that they're sitting there talking about us. And then you take that with a grain of salt, and then you just like, what a joke. And so the last few years after that, I'm like, it's with a grain of salt. So then you deal with your trolls. Everybody has trolls. Everybody's going to talk. Everybody's going to be petty. And a lot of them don't hack it and get through it. Some have disappeared because of it. Like literally they disappear off the face of the earth. And so it is, but I'm not going to be run away. George may be getting, where he's like, oh, I'm not, this, and I've got other things to do, and that's his prerogative, but you're not running me off. You're not running him off. He's still with the channel. It's just petty when other channels nearby. That's what kind of bothered us, is when you have other channels that pretend to like you, then do weird content about you on the side under their breath. And it's like, because they got bored and had nothing. And it's like, are you kidding me? And the people that they list is like, it's like, really? Go bleach your hair again, you dumbass. It's like, go sit and spend somewhere. It's like it just blows your mind. Heidi, can you live stream from Philly's bar? Why would I? I think you will get a lot of views and donations for you to get drunk. Yeah, why would I? I mean, we a long time ago went down there and we stayed at, and this was on our birthday, like we do like our birthday weekends and stuff, because we're not bar owners. We don't have bar girl wives or bar girl friends. We don't do walking street for numbers and how we build our channel. We don't spend our whole time talking about it, and we don't do content based on it and then try to go political on everything and switch out. No, it's not what our channel's been about. There's a lot of them that can only get their numbers based on that and hanging out in people's rooms or who they suck ass with. We're not going to do that. Heidi doesn't fucking suck ass with nobody, including her own fucking husband. I put his ass out on the front porch with the dog if I have to. I just think they're weak. They're weak ass bitches. And then go talk about somebody under their breath. Take that shit. So the answer is no. Why would I go to Philly's bar? One, I don't like their food. I've had their food. I've been there once. It's mediocre. They're only doing it, what? Because regular guy does it, or whatever that Babs guy is, or Chubbs Dub C, or whatever. No, the answer is no. Why would I? We pretty much do our own thing. We're not copycats. When we started doing vlogs and doing live streams, even the channels that were here longer than us was not doing live streams all the time. Then all of a sudden they're doing live streams, copying same topics, can't come up with their own topics, can only talk about shit. And I'm like, the more you talk, the more you make me popular. Bitch. I think I'm up to 13 subscribers. Woo! I'm a YouTube superstar. Arr! She's here. Mary Bear. Hi, Mary Bear. Come here. Mary Bear. They're asking about you, Mary. Oh, come here. Hi, you a good girl. Where you at? Hi. Hi, they're asking for you. Hi. Yeah. Hi. She's being stubborn. Well, here's the deal. She's been getting her eyes cleaned. There's cleaner that she gets drops in her eyes every day, and it helps with the allergies and everything else. So now she thinks when I call her, she takes off because she thinks she's gonna get see, and it's nap time. You don't want to say hi? Come on. Nope, she thinks I'm gonna clean her eyes. She's on to that shit. Yeah. Yeah. Real quick, that's what you were saying here. Yes, even just searching on the websites I'll show on your ads in Facebook. Yeah. I believe you're right, Heidi, about the phone listening to. No, I know it does. It's been like that. They even say that it does, especially being we have an iPhone, and we have an iPhone in the house, and I know it does because I was talking to George on the phone. He was with his uncle, and I said, "You're not going to believe this Jeffrey Dahmer thing that they just had on Netflix." And I said, and the guy stated the craziest thing that unshook him was his lava lamp. And I said, "Remember when I used to have a lava lamp and I used to turn it on and used to have it in the house, a red one?" He was like, "Okay." And I said, "I'm just saying." And he's like, "Yeah, you're crazy." I said, "No, not really. People with lava lamps, it was a 70s thing and everything." But we talked about it for a few minutes. And then sure enough, and I'll show it to you because afterwards I said, "You're not going to believe this, George." I said, it came up in the feed. Let's see. And I said, it actually came up in the feed. Here it is. See, came up in Facebook. It's a lava lamp company. That's all they sell. And that was the first ad after somebody's post. And I said, that is not coincidence. I haven't seen lava lamps here at all until I mentioned it. Of course, the phone listens in. And whether it's the Philippines, the United States, or wherever, they have access to do that. Same with your cameras. They can access anything. It's been like that for a while. So I remember when I was working tech support and started learning Windows 95 and DAWs and went through all that. and started learning a lot of these capabilities were not a possibility until things and technology picked up. Now everything can be done. They can trace shit like a ways back. I There is a new program on Netflix that just came up, and it's called something about the neighbor. Basically, the woman shot a mother through the door, a mother of four, and basically over a 2 year period, she was a Karen and a bitch. And every time the kids were playing outside, she would toss stuff at them, cuss them out, threaten them. She was just an old woman that was just cranky all the time. And I'm like, well, I get that. I was trying to feel both sides of the story and stuff because, there was plenty of room for the kids to go play somewhere else, but they tended to be in her yard. But it was like that when I was a kid. We played in everybody's yard. But I guess the woman just kept fighting with the people all the time, kept threatening the kids and everything. In the end, she shot through the door and killed the mother, and they found all of her search history. That's what I was trying to get to. Through her phone, she was looking up stand your ground shit months before it happened, looked it up, of course, afterwards. And they we're going to find all your search history. It's the same with the phones. They can locate you on the spot with your phone. They can tell who you were talking with. All of that was not a possibility in the late 90s. Now you're tracked. There's cameras everywhere. Because I seen a crime show that was showing the 70s. And when Dahmer and all these other guys were doing their crimes, it's like, damn, you could get away with everything, including if you didn't have any credit limit. You just kept using your card till they took it away from you situation. So the same with the check writing people used to do back then. So in other words, it was a whole different era. Man, they can track everything. And of course they're listening. It's crazy. He probably feels more confident because with his family, and my ex did the same when he came back. Totally ignore me. Yes and no, because George, although like you said, he's not a social media person, you'll still see he has his good days where he, really is talking with people. And he still had family in the US. So he did have that. I just think he knows his leverage, and I think he's using that. I think he knows that what am I going to do if he does go and do these things? Because a lot of the stuff I don't think I would have dealt with in the US. In other words, if he stayed at the family house for 1 or 2 days and didn't talk to me in the US, it'd have been a whole different story. And so, but he does it here, and now I just don't care. It's just like, okay, you're not going to get that reaction out of me situation. The same with when I can't get him up to do the live streams where he would have been doing them before. It just seems like the more he's here, I would swear that he is getting advice from his family. I would swear that his friends are telling him shit, but I don't sit around all crazy about that either. So he's either, he's his own person and everything. So confident, no, he had confidence. He's always had a certain way about him. What it is George doesn't care what the result is. It is definitely, I've told you guys, he's admitted it. It's a passiveness. He's passive. He doesn't care what I think about it or how I think about it. He's going to do it anyways. It just seems to be he got a little colder when he got here because he knows I have no outs now. Now, he'll probably say it's not true, but I feel it is. I feel that he knows, what am I going to do? Take the remaining of our savings and run out every time he does something wrong? Of course not. He knows I'm not going to do that. So he does more without any considerations. He's an ass sometimes. I'm an ass sometimes. But there's nothing, it's not like it's not death, it's and speaking of what could go wrong, let me bring in and feed the trolls today. Over the years, they're talking about, oh, well, kiss your immigration goodbye or kiss this goodbye. They've made threats to come by the house. They keep talking about our careers. Some ass hat mentioned trolls recently, bringing up our troll 100%. And it's like, okay, you want to talk about that shit? It's like, what you gonna do now, bitch? Worst case scenario, you and your loser groups, because they're all related to each other. I'm going to tell you that right now. They've all been in each other's rooms that are involved. They all know each other. They know who's doing it. Point is what? Worst case scenario, my ass is going home. Same to George, same to the trolls, same to the viewers. Worst case scenario, I'm going back to America. Okay, and what? My life will continue on. Yeah, I'm still going to continue a channel, just going to do it back in America. You think that's death? It's not criminal. My past and my jobs and me doing YouTube and me talking is just evidently pissed you guys off. So then evidently I got under your skin. See, that's how that works. But I'm going home. I thought about that yesterday. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go home. What is your big threat, your big ass problems that you're so fascinated with me? It's because you're hating, because you're just hating. You're haters. So that's all you got is that I pick on the P. That's all you got is my jobs. That's all you've got is figuring out how long I went to school, what my careers are. I'm like, oh shit, cha-ching, I hit the big time because I rent space in your heads. That's what happened. And I think it's hilarious. So for to do an entire content based on bullshit is even funnier. Loser. Loser. That's in the US. Hey, good morning, Victoria. What's going on? I'm afraid there's a lot of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. I was just telling George the other day, Thera, that it's really true. Again, I'll bring Dahmer up again. Dahmer seemed like an innocent person. Even the landlord offered for him to buy one of his buildings, and they were always talking to each other. You never know who you're talking with. All these people that think these vloggers and their neighbors and all that are so super innocent. Nobody's innocent. Anybody above the age of 12 is never innocent. There's something going on. But you take the street that you live on, a quarter of them have probably done some really nasty, weird, funky shit. Really funky shit. And it's like, people just don't know. You never know who your neighbor is. Like I said, to one person you're an angel, to the next person I'm just a bitchy white American woman, to the next person I'm the devil, and to the next person they know everything about my life and they're like, yeah, hey, that's the past situation and it doesn't matter. So somebody off somebody 20 years ago, or if somebody did this and that, it's just crazy. You never know your neighbors, or there's a lot of things going on here in Asia and Philippines, but I think a lot of it goes on around the world. So I don't think it changes because of the continent. So there's a lot of weird shit. I got a kidney I can sell, right? Mama's got to go to Japan and get a new perm. Actually, I think I'm having a good hair day. It's kind of laying down right now. This is uncolored. See, matches my eyebrows. And I got some sort, it was really weird. I was kind of freaked out by it because it was only 200 pesos. Believe it or not, it's $4. It was a gigantic container of collagen and it said Botox for hair. And it was supposed to be a deep conditioner. And I thought, okay, it was from a legit place on Lazada, but it seemed too cheap. So I thought it was just going to be a little jar. It turned out to be this gigantic thing. And that's what's got the shine back in my hair. And then there's a hair gloss that it came with. That's what I put in there this morning. Now my hair's kind of just laying there. So my hair fell apart once I hit the Philippines. Everything has changed about me in the last 5 years. Substantial weight gain, my face structure, the bloating from the steroids, everything has changed. Everybody goes through some sort of change, it seems, whether they're coming here to the Philippines or vice versa, the Filipinas that are going to America. Right after they drained his blood, the organs are next. Yeah, that's probably the next thing. I've seen it in some movies. I don't know if they're based on true stories, I think it was not based on a true story. Remember the doctor had them all in the basement. There was like 20 of them, and that's what he was using them for, was cancer experiments. He was giving them cancer, but some of it they were running the treatments, and they would just take people off the street because by the time you go through the FDA and you go through all their trials and all this different things that you have to do in the paperwork, he just decided to start having them captured. And I'm like, ooh, what the hell? Oh, really? I do know that channel. They've been around for a while. Jane and Adam's Life. Wow. Yeah, because like I said, I've seen them since I've been in the Philippines, about 5 years. And they got that little like house in the farm. Yeah, I know the couple. That is sad. Wow, okay. And they were small fries when we got in here. A lot of these channels were small and under 50,000 5 years ago. And I'm really proud of a lot of these channels that have grown. um, the Filipina P, and that channel has, and Kulos has went from small numbers to big numbers, and their channels with growth. And there's a lot of channels we like and watch. It's scripted nonetheless, but they're still entertaining one form or another. I think it's how they put things on, and there's a funniness to it and some informative stuff that comes along with it. So Charlie chips were big in upstate New York. Okay, so that would explain being in a northern place. I found some at a Cracker Barrel about 10 years ago. Yeah, my grandmother out in Worthington, Ohio, when it was more of a farm area. Now it's all big city and malls there and everything. We had big cornfields and everything. There would be a big brown truck that would arrive, and she would get, there were even chocolate covered chips back then, and which, having something in the early 80s and late 70s like that, it was still, a delicacy, or something exotic like. And so no, she used to get all the chips, and we used to get a handful of chips with our lunch and stuff, usually bologna sandwiches, or we could get a peanut butter and honey sandwich, but I always remember being able to get the chips, and she would have them delivered. There was also an ice cream company, I can't remember who delivered. They started delivering again recently, but it was even in Florida, but I can't picture the truck. They also delivered frozen foods, ice creams, and she was like ahead of her time for like food deliveries, because she was always working and babysitting, and she was doing all kinds of stuff. She was always there out in the country by herself. I can't think of the other company. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I remember that channel. A lot of YouTubers are getting desperate. They run out of ideals. Yeah. And then a lot of people will say, well, that's what you and George did, was pick on channels. And it's like, well, that's if you see it that way. But there's also a limit to you putting that bullshit out there, or the stuff that we're going to call you out on, or when the kid got kidnapped in Mindanao. That was a whole dark story. There was a lot to learn from that one. And every man, are you kidding me? He put his own shit in his own fight and was acting a fool in town when he was out and about at other businesses. And he put himself in a legal situation. That was worth talking. We weren't bullying. We weren't making fun of. We were making a point out of your life. And it's different if you were making a point out of my life about a troll. No, instead you fed the troll. You bring up the bullshit about it, okay, and you feed the troll, mention it, and said you were going to make a thought about it, and you never did. You never completed it. All you wanted to do was make people aware of what. So it's like you're not even making points. So people don't even have points to some of their content. And it's weird that other channels, I've watched other big channels do content, and then the other Dumageddon vloggers, all of them will pick up on that one guy's sad story, like sad stuff that he's talking about. And it's like, you guys couldn't come up with anything. You're just following that other vlogger. He's not the original vlogger. You guys put a crown on his head, but he's not. It's just weird. I actually find the whole weird thing interesting. And more sadly are the ones that just live and die on Walking Street. It's it's pathetic that their full content came from only Walking Street, living around Walking Street, married to bar girls, hanging on the bar girls, and making claims to fame of how great their life is, and then your content is just a whatever. Why are you on YouTube yourself? Most of it is obsession. Most of it is narcissism. Pure narcissism. Pure narcissism. These guys are just into themselves. And because I talk about them, they want to get all fuck faced. So bite me, bitch. Good luck. And with George here, not here, what the hell? It's like, you can't stop this train, and you ain't going to. He had one say so here lately. The rest of it, it's on. You're a good life, Heidi. That's why your sister is obsessed. Yeah, I think so. They're struggling. They've got substance issues, a few of them, like literally drinking and smoking all the time. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I'm not paying 5 times the rent. Yeah, I have my own issues and my own struggles. I'm not even going to say that I don't, but I think so. They don't have anybody in their life, and I don't know. I think that's what it is. They're still claiming it's because I left, but yet they invite me to come back and stay and visit. So which is it? You going to talk shit, or it's jealousy? The same with the other vloggers. We were listed recently in a stupid low budget hair income vlogger recently listed us with some of the better vloggers, and just a bitch. And it's like, okay, you think that changes our life, but it's jealousy. It is down to it. The same with the person on the careers. It's like, I know that's all that it needs to be. That's, it's what I know. It doesn't matter that you're making up lies on the side talking about, I called your job. You didn't call. Back in 96? Are you fucking kidding me? They weren't running computers at some of these companies. They had them, but do you think they kept all those records? And you really think HR at a neurological center and schools are going to talk to a nobody? You think you're buying, like, people will go so far in the YouTube world, in our circle, that will actually run background checks. And they have. They've looked stuff up through courts. They've done everything. It's like, you're a loser. You're a loser to bring up shit that happened 20 and something years ago and you have no idea. You think them are full records? They're just, it's sad. It's sad. And I've been trolled by my own family. I've even had family members that went through spreading shit around. You can never believe it until you hear me actually say, yeah, that was me. You know what I mean? It's sad. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter that even the ones that hate us will continue to watch us because it's drama. It's kind of like, like when I watch Britney Spears, it doesn't mean I really, I'm all into her. I'm just seeing what the crazy woman is doing these days. She's dancing, she's doing this. It's sometimes you just watch it because it's like a train wreck. So it's like, we get it. We got lovers and haters, and that's the way it goes. Good morning, gang. What's going on, Curtis? How are you? From sunny Zamboanga. Where can you get good pizza? Well, I'll tell you what. I stick to the basics. Domino's and Pizza Hut here. And there's a place, I believe it's called Biggie's Pizza. It's a brick oven. It's as close to like real Italian pizza like you would get in Italy. Them are the ones that I think is good. And the other one is Greenwich. I didn't try it forever. George kept saying to try it. We've tried the other big companies, S&R and all those. If you can get them to cook an S&R pizza, that's a good one, or the Landers one, get them to cook it, then you're good to go. But besides all the other ones, yeah, that is my opinion on that. But I think Domino's has been one of our favorite that's as close to being a real Domino's. So yeah, Pizza Hut. Yeah. Yep. And they do a real good stuffed crust. Do not get the sausage stuffed. We did that when we first got here. It's just hot dogs, literal hot dogs. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, we literally thought there would be real sausage that they put on top of it. It's their hot dog sausages, and they taste more like hot dogs, and they put the entire thing in there. They don't chop it up. They don't. It's literally a hot dog all the way around the pizza with the crust, and it's horrible. It was just horrible. So just get the stuffed crust one. But yeah, I don't like Shakey's. Yeah, Shakey's has a frozen pizza sold at Walter Mart 200. Not bad. Oh yeah, we tried Shakey's a few times. We've had hit and miss. They undercook them. We got fried chicken one time. It was like part of the meal. Their oil wasn't changed. It tastes rancid. It's been a hit and miss on stuff, but it would happen in the U.S. Magnesium is good for teenagers in that stage. Okay. Yeah, I'll let her know. I take a magnesium supplement myself for other stuff, but I'm pretty sure she's giving him the multivitamins. I think it's just a teenage thing. You could get it from me, the bitching and complaining. It could just be that he's just like, what's that grumpy guy, that comedian does that grumpy guy where Walter. That I forgot what guy does that. The grumpy guy, the Walter guy. They could also harvest, yeah, and they do. They get a hold of you. It could be anything. One day I went to get a pizza over here, the place north of Manila called Barrel Pro. They got some other places makes cool barbecue grills and has nice gas powered gas oven. I think that's another thing. A lot of the restaurants, they don't use full power. Like I see where they're deep frying stuff at like a lot of these mom and pop restaurants. They reuse the oil forever. And I get it. It's, budget wise, and they use machines that aren't strong enough. Like one time we was at the mall and there was a kiosk and we got some of those corn dogs, which you got to realize it's not a real corn dog. It's a Korean corn dog, which usually is dusted in sugar before and after. And their machine, it took like 30 minutes or so to deep fry a corn dog, and there was like no bubbles. She put it in there before it was even hot, which means all the oil soaked into there, and you just have to deal. And it's just like, okay. And I was told George, I said, you go ahead and eat it. It's just saturated in oil. It's oil should be so hot that it should cook it a proper way. But I think a lot of the machines are insufficient for the cooking. And so, yeah, oven not over. Just reading through you guys' comments. Oops, never mind. Since I'm not there, it's, yeah, 18,000 pesos a year. Gotcha. Everybody saying hi. Victoria's in the house. Laura, what is going on? Hey, hey, hey. Got my girl in the house from California with her mom, saying hi to mom, keeping active. I can appreciate that. I can afford it. I can't. I don't get it. If your channel doesn't have trolls, you haven't arrived, right? And you haven't made it unless other channels, like we've had channels, big channels, pick on us right from the get go. And it's like, it was more hurtful. And then that's just me being, I guess, butt hurt, as they would say. And then after that, it was like, yeah, okay. And then now it's just kind of like, and it's just like, okay, well then poof, be gone. We don't want any part of you. There's a limit for us. There's a limit to, it is still a privilege to be up in the room. And if you don't think so, then go on. You've been here for years and just goodbye. So it should be handled a different situation. It was more of the hurtful part that these other channels that claim to know us and like us and come up in the room would sit there and talk double shit. It's bad enough that they were up in bad trolls, like dark trolls rooms, and that's their prerogative to do that. That talk about us. We don't expect people to keep all loyalty, but don't go up in your room talking shit and then come back in our room and don't think that people don't tell us. People have been telling us, and it's just like, okay, not a big deal, not a big deal. And it's like, yeah, it definitely means we've gone somewhere. But when it's an insignificant, lonely old man that's doing it, it's like a lot of nerve. You know what I mean? I'm calling you out. Get a fucking life. Go find another bar girl. Go to another bar. Go do something. Heidi, a Filipina, earned almost 200,000 pesos a month by having a live there in Bohol. Who was that? That's 5 grand a month. Now, maybe she was getting stickers and all that other stuff. That's a lot of money. But there are channels that are big. I mean, probably it's one of those simping channels, or which, if that's the way they're getting their money, I'm actually happy they're making their money. The food can't be that bad if regular guy eats there. Otherwise, I think regular guy would eat anywhere. I think it was, in my opinion, it was really bad. So yeah, it's been there once, won't go there again. So monthly on Phil Health, $10, $20 a month. Not for No, I don't know where you're getting that. That would mean somebody with no income. For expat, it's a percentage of your income, and it's not $20 a month. So let me calculate that. Yeah, I still think it would be, I don't know about $20 a month. I'd have to double check on that again, get a hold of Michael Onstad. Last I checked, it would be 300. That's why I'm trying to 300 and something. I have to check. I'm off on some of the numbers. It's a percentage of income. Thought it was around 300, 400 a year. It says that the cost is 17,000. This is AI, 17,000 a year if you have your ACR. But it says choosing the private insurance. Let's see, expat costs, private insurance, depending on the plan, annual. I thought they changed it to percentage. Okay, so according to this AI, it says 17,000 a year. Yeah. Okay, so that would make it about 25 to 30 a year. Or 20 to, it'd be about 30 because it's 1,400 and like 15 a month. So that's close to $30 a month. So that's what it would be. It says 17,000, but I thought they said a percentage is what Michael Onstad said. I would not trust AI 100%. Now I'll show it on my ads because I mentioned it, right? Lava lamps. Right? The waterbeds too. I had a waterbed at one point. George jokes about them all the time. Even when I was, I've always been a full big girl ever since I've had kids. There's always been one point. But just a few years ago, I had lost all the weight and I was down to a size medium for my height. And then I regained it all back again. Then I lost a bunch before I met George. And then boom. Yeah, it's back again, but inside of a waterbed, it's butt hits the bottom. I took time to do all my security settings in my phone. If you don't do that, it will record everything. There it gets seasick on the waterbed. And remember, if you don't take 20 or 30 minutes to change your settings on your iPhone, it will send all that data. That's true. I went to YouTube and follow the guy on turning off some settings on my iPhone. I watch a channel Off the Ranch with Matt Keidecker SP. He made tons of money, yeah, and the last year he stopped complete. I think he did it for sanity. There's a few of them, yes, that have made really good money, and even if they are, I don't get how all these ones that are political here lately, because they've really, in the last 3-4 years, there's been tons of them with big numbers that are dealing with all the stuff going on in the US and around the world and political and complaining about all the channels, and it really gets nasty between all of them, and it is really nasty. And but some of them, no matter what, is doing 5 videos a day. Soon as something comes up, I'm like, I get that a lot of them have at them numbers, they've got people editing, they've got people, doing the content ideals, the thumbnail. So all they got to do is appear, but they still have to appear. Like I've seen a couple of them that have been bashing Trump in the White House. They're on there like 5-6 times a day and they do live streams. I don't see how they keep up. It's very stressful for them. I couldn't see that. We don't pay editors. We don't do nothing. George does a lot of the thumbnails. He makes posts on other social media. George is most of the other side of the channel. and at least we have each other, but it's not full-time work. Some people are really in there. Some are making money, but I do believe it's based on the sanity part. You got a crown at Burger King. Heidi, would you ever live within an expat compound if you could? Vet to degree the neighbors. I did see that. I think it's called That Philippine Life or something, or a Philippine guy that owns the Beaver or whatever. He said there was a bunch of guys out there that had bought a piece of land and built. The only thing I would disagree on that is it's agricultural land, and a bunch of Filipinos called them out on it. They said that it was agricultural land, which means you're technically not supposed to use it for the purpose of a bunch of expats living on it. But it's an ideal. Would I know? I didn't 100% did not come here to sit around with a bunch of expats at restaurants and sit around and hang out with other expats. It's okay to some degree to have other expat friends here. But it turns out in the end, a lot of them are asking for money. They're using you for something. And so I couldn't see hanging out all the time and living with other expats just to be a community. If you want that community, you go to the VFW, you can go play pool. There's lots of other hangout places without permanently living with them. So I think a lot of people have agreed it, that we didn't come here to hang out with other expats. A lot of them prefer to be on their own with just Filipinos, and that's where I'm at. I'd rather find the company of Filipinos than other expats. They are super toxic here. Hell, I'm toxic. I don't want to hang out with other people like me. Hi, Heidi. Hi, people continue to watch you because you're real, Heidi. Like Sunshine. I love Sunshine. I love fucking Sunshine Shoulder to death. The more they talk shit about him, the more I love him. And the same with Geo. There's some things we agree to disagree with, but I still think he keeps it real. And I think because I'm in a circle of people that I like to watch, they've also thrown me in the pot. You know, it's like when we were defending regular guy, no one had any proof. They thought they had proof. Then they start coming down on us even more. And I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and call someone a pedo when there is no proof. It was just kind of crazy. And so it's like people got people all twisted too. They make stuff up, they go through stuff, and but there's a lot of channels that I enjoy. I like Old Dog. There's a lot of shit I also don't agree. And in the beginning, it seemed like all he had was a bunch of women dancing around him and hanging out, and they mess with Baby May. I like Baby May, but it's just like, you know what? It's not for everybody. I'm not for everybody. They don't like me, then too bad. So was that your sister that said, "Yeah, that's her. That is her 100%." Yeah, we do too. I That's the one thing I'll agree with that other channel is that there were a lot of people in the beginning that were very dark trolls that came in our room, and they didn't like MYK because he was real and liked to debate people, but because we wouldn't let people like Sick Grandpa and the others come up there picking at people, talking about people. Our channel is not for your broadcast. Our channel has always been told that other channels don't have the right to be in there just to say hi to our people. It was weird in the beginning. A lot of them would just come in to poach people, say hi, and then they'd go and start a live stream. And we were on to some of it. Like some of them were so brazen, they would come on and say, "Hey, I'm having a live stream in a little bit. See you guys later," which is rude. But there are other channels that don't give a shit. They don't care that if people come in there and say, "Hey, I'm this channel," but it is rude and it's not right. We've been following rules for a long time. And it's basically to the point that you have the right to your opinions. I agree. You have the right to discuss like what we're discussing today. You can disagree, agree. We don't block you because we're butthurt. Okay. But we also don't have to let you sit up in our room and fraternize with people and talk shit about other people and come in. We've had people outright call people names and all that. So these people are blocked. So it is our channel. It is George's channel. So if we want to block everybody, we will. If we have 5 people in our room, that's up to us. It's just where it is. But it's yeah, my sister's a psycho. The other one's a psycho. They've got substance issues. They're drunk and high most of the time. So I take that with a grain of salt. I'm gonna call their asses out. So they, just like at Mother's Day, one of them came through and they were going to other people's channels making up shit. And it's just like, wow, okay, my own. Why? Because I'm not coming back because you're jealous because you don't have a husband. Like they're old biddies. They're basically Karens that sit around and get high and drunk all day. So that's up to them. Haters. They have a Domino's in Candelaria, and man, it sucked nothing like um, Domino's, but I haven't tried in the big city. Here, they've got a few of them, and it does, but I always put like add extra sauce, remove some of the sauce, and then you can have extra stuff. But I always put in there cook well because if you don't, you end up with a raw. Like it always seems undercooked. So I always say cook 10 extra minutes, and most of them do that. The pizza and Domino's here, it does come a little brown. And besides that, getting a Filipino pizza is pretty much just soft dough. It's almost like bread. And it's always going to be a sauce that's too sweet, and the meats are super fake, and it's always squeezed cheese on there. And it's no longer a 200 peso pizza. They're starting to go up to like $8, $9 for a Filipino pizza. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying what they would make in a day. That's exactly what the person making the pizza is making, and for one, and then it's just bread and sauce. It's crazy. I agree. Consistent pizzas is hard to find. Yeah, one time might be good and the other it's terrible, from uncooked to overcooked. Yeah. Jeff Durham. Yeah. Yeah, the grumpy dude. I don't like the way that you look today. Jeff Durham. Yeah. Ah, he's funny. There is a Subway in Alabang. Well, if it's a mall, to get bacon on a sandwich, you have to have them cook it 4 times. You had to get it crisp. I used to love Subway in the U.S. When I was driving to Miami, I'd pick up one and eat half the sub. And being it was such a long trip to get back, I was gone for a half a day to a day taking Miami trips, and I would eat them. But then I started realizing their ingredients and stuff wasn't as fresh. The calories added up really quick, and I'm like, shit, I could have had a pizza for that shit and just ate the slices on the road. Shit, I was thinking about something the other day when I mentioned that. I seen where they were talking about like Jackie Onassis, and it was talking about how she ate like a bird. I'm like, bitch, I ain't eating like no bird. I'm already fluffy and fat. I already got my medical conditions. I lived a good life. I'm getting that damn pizza tomorrow situation. But it went on about how she ate. She said she rarely ate anything sweet. Like probably once a year she ate some peach ice cream. I was like, fuck that shit. That's it. No, Heidi will eat cake, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Not a ton of it, but I like sugar. That's probably my downfall. Is even a small handful of sugar is more calories than eating a bunch of stuff, right? And then it said that, like, I forgot, she ate one piece of honey toast, some tea, and I forgot. In other words, she really ate like a bird. And I'm like, who wants to live like that? I get you want to live forever and you want to be petite. But then again, if you eat pizza, it might show on a little body like that. So yeah, it's just kind of crazy. I get it. I get eating healthy. I really do. I really do. But that's for the birds, man. I heard getting ground beef is kind of difficult. Getting decent ground beef could be a problem. We've gotten it from SNR. We got it from Landers. I have found that, believe it or not, SM lately, we've been getting it there, and then we put it in our deep freezer and cook it. But I'm finding they pump it just as full of those um, whatever the extras are that they put in the meat, because when I went to go cook it, it didn't have a lot of oil. It had more water in the pan. So I think they fluffed the weight up with the, what they call them, juices they put in there. But it was kind of crazy because it was mostly juice, not oil. And I'm like, man, that's how they were inflating it. But yes, it can be. But they do have butcher shops that you can actually get it from. But I would just watch too much of the street meat for sure. It might be another, right? It might be something else. I'm privileged, but you're stuck with my trolling. Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, shit. Let's give him something to talk about. I used to be a dentist, and how about that? I was a dentist one time, and I used to work at the White House, and I was an intern in the late '90s, right after I went to Harvard, and I used to be an attorney's assistant for a while, and add that to the list. Why don't you? Got a couple corns on my feet and bunions. Would you like to see those? Me and George like to have sex and jello all the time. We use it for lubricant. We use it to wash our hair. We eat dog food all the time. Add that to the list, bitches. Oh my God. Yeah, why don't you look that up? Why don't you get my work history? Why don't you tell me and go tell the tax people what exactly I did with my life? Haha, regular guy. 1 second, what's going on? Heidi, it's because of the raging hormones and tests. Yeah, kicking in, it helps to control their moods too. Yeah, and they're just really bored. And I get bored, but you don't bite the people you're in a circle with. When you share half the people, which by the way, you didn't have them to begin with if you weren't up in the room and we weren't talking with you all the time. But after the fact, you just sit there and bite it. It's like, I don't get it. A nice email would have been nice first saying, hey, this person's sending a list. I was thinking it was also my sisters and the other trolls, but it's like, you've known it for a while, you're bitching about it, and then you're going to put it out to people and you're feeding the troll. And I get me talking about it's the same thing, but it's like, what were you thinking and what kind of boredom are you going through? Go back to the bars. Go back to your bar. Go back to what you're doing, okay, Mr. I've got it all, and just continue on. It's just weird that for people that claim they have such a good life and such a good wife and everything's so okay, how come that's all the content you can come up with, being you like to help people? And you've got such everything else going on. It's kind of weird. It's just weird. But evidently he's going through it or they are going through it. And honestly, I think they're all in one. There's a couple other people that have talked about it, and they're actually thinking that person is the troll producing their own shit. That is a possibility. I mean, think about that one. Do content based on trolling and be the troll that is sending us the stuff just to bring it up, knowing we've watched your channel. It's like, could be an over exaggeration but not far from the truth, because the time frame of the vlogger is exactly how long we've been getting these messages, and part of their life is some of our career. It's just weird. The whole circle is just weird, and it's just like, that is real boredom and on borderline psychosis, but it shows all the way through. But there are 2 or 3 guys in America. Weirdly, one used to come in and tell me how much he loved me and then said he was joking, and got kicked off the live streams and obsessed about MYK and all that. And then he started trying to expose my entire life down to speeding tickets and George's stuff and anything criminal on me. And it's like, wow, how bored are we? And there's another one because he loves the Filipina P, and because I've mentioned her, he's turned it into content that gets him 200 views. It's just weird. People are weird. But hello to you, because I know you watch all of our vlogs, which only gets us paid, even if it is 10 cents, bitches. You a 10-cent bitch today, bitch. Regular guy would eat at the YMCA. Yeah, I know. I think guys are pretty basic. They like food and everything. I think it's the scenery and it's the place to be. It's just not for us. We've been down there. We haven't been down there in years. And it's, I've had their food once. I'm not going to sit there to get numbers, because believe it or not, numbers aren't important. I'm going to bitch when the live stream drops down to 20. It's what I do. but it's not like, hey, I know I'm going to get numbers, so let's do this topic. We pretty much have done the topics we've wanted to. Like if Second Wind and Thera and our basics, Victoria and Sarah and all them just dropped away, then that's when I'm going to be hurt. When the core people that we really love and care about and talk with, and the ones that are here, we're like, where are they today? Like we get off the live stream, me and George is like, well, what happened to Ted? Is Ted okay? Or we actually have those conversations. And so, it does mean something. But when you got a asshole vlogger and multi-vloggers in the area that just want to talk crap, it's like, yeah, okay, just another day. Those ones we don't miss and won't miss. Double trouble, and yes, viewers send through stickers like hundreds. Yeah. Food would be an issue for me because I don't eat shellfish and pork. I get kind of nervous with their shellfish here when it comes from the markets and stuff. So I tend to, if I really want fish, Wendy's does a good fish sandwich. I just let them deep fry the crap out of it, and then I get, I think it's not white haddock, it's the other one. It's white something, but basically it's a white fish. I just get it frozen and then I cook it. But no, meat had become a problem in the beginning for sure. And I just found other ways around it. Or now I do a lot more soy, and I do like eggs. I do a lot more eggs than anything. I make like vegan patties out of the soy flakes and spices and mung beans and lentils. I started doing the couscous and some others lately. I've gotten into more whole grains and whole foods. And I, believe it or not, although you see me, I do probably about 70 or 80% of the time eat this stuff. It's hard dragging George into it because as soon as he gets over his family, that could be why he goes over there all the time, is because, yeah, I just don't keep all the junk food here anymore. I don't we have to bring it in before it's here. It's not always here tempting. And of course, it's got to be in moderation. Magnesium is good for everyone. Yeah, I just had it. I got some liquid over there and I got pills, but the liquid one's interesting. Yeah, most of the food I see on YouTube there, and yeah, it's mostly pork here and more pork. Yeah, it's a lot of pork here. Yeah, I cook my own, and I'm in the U.S. I don't trust restaurants for the most part. We do. Yeah, because especially beings, most of them are just fly by night places. Like here in the subdivision, they've got all kinds of restaurants. My neighbor down further, they got restaurants and they're cooking out of their house. They literally, some of them are just right there. They bring the food out and it sits with covers for hours. That's just too scary for me. And I've had food poisoning twice since I've been here. It's at least been twice. I just can't risk it. It's risky being with health issuances. Yeah, abroad. It is. I think a lot of them are bringing it, and I already knew I'd have it there. The difference is I gave up the insurance that was actually paying for it, but I didn't feel that it's like having, the skin cancer is not the problem right now. It would be coming up with something really, really bad. But then I've accepted that if I've got leukemia or something worse, I'm not going to get treatment anyways. The same with if I needed something major, like major open heart surgery in this, I'm just probably going to refuse it anyways. I really would. And so when you accept all that stuff and then you come here, then that's pretty much, you know, just where it's at. Not for everybody, though. I love our neighbor in the U.S., but I don't hang with him. Yeah, we say hey and other things, but I never have been close to people that I live right near. Yeah. And a lot of people ask that, and they're like, oh, well, you're antisocial and you need to go get more friends. And it's like, why? Okay, I get it. I get it. I didn't have a ton of them in the US. I had so many people that I called friend. I just didn't have friends that sit around and admire me, or like I just wanted people to love me or throw big parties or get fancier clothes and keep up with the Joneses next door with fancier cars, because sometimes that's the way it seemed and I didn't have a ton of friends. It's just like, no. People trying to outdo each other. And it's the same here. They get into shit matches here about how much they own and how big their checks are. And this is my woman. Look at her. And it's like, bitch, you wouldn't have been nothing back in America. What are you talking about? Look at my chick. You treat her like a dog on a leash, man. And it is kind of out there. And I don't want to hang with these people. A lot of them here are narcissistic, and they seem to be the strangest expats I've ever met. They weren't like that in other countries. It's just a weird set here. We're just all weird. We're misfits. It's time to redo the Island of Misfits. I originally did a live stream on the Island Misfits before, because it seems to be that's what goes on. Not everybody, don't put yourself in that category, but it is truth. It is truth, and I'm rating that list, no doubt. I'm skipping over if you guys are sitting there talking. A second one. It's like, hey, room, I'm having a live stream right now. I mean, sometimes, I mean, maybe, oh, hell, too much work. Forget about it. Forget I said that. Yeah, it's so weird. And it's not just been one, and we don't mind it. We're aware that people come in here. We don't go into rooms. We watch a lot of channels, but we don't comment, because we will have 3 or 4 of the people that know us. They'll be like, oh, hey, George and Heidi. And it's like, this is why we don't do it. We ain't trying to steal your thunder. But when you specifically come in the room saying hey to everybody, and then you're like, hey, I'm doing a live, or they have a live set up already, it's too evident. And then so over the years we just don't say nothing. But then when your punk ass bitch is gonna go and do a live stream and talk shit, that's totally different. Totally different. But it's not a given that, I get how the game works, and some people have no conscience, they have no thoughts, they have no couth. That's what my mother would say. Basically, you have no couth is what's wrong with you now. Look at me. I got X amount of TVs. Look at me. I own all these properties and boats, and I did my retirement right. Here's a chart. Let's check it out. Look at me. I'm gonna be here, there, and look at me. I'm a YouTuber. Look at my new cameras, and I spent all this money on the cameras. It's like, narcissistic bitch. Shut your trap, man. If you don't like that, stick it in your ass. It's truth. And evidently that's what winds you up so you can do more content because you're bored. Take a nap, old man. Take a nap. God willing, I'm planning to retire next year, so I'm here to get educated a bit. Yeah, you probably get a little educated. And you guys can always ask questions. That's why these live streams are running. It is exactly, it's exactly why they're here. Oh yeah. Yeah, I had that. We had that personally made. We have a lot of the cups and everything. So yeah, it's spawns and one of my favorite shows. And again, I'll mention we have playlists. I've been adding more and more stuff. George adds stuff too. It's called Oldies Antique TV. It's got everything in there. Everything from the 60s. We found stuff from the 1920s. There's old movies in there. There's a bunch of Nick at Night that's got all these shows. So you could just sit around for days watching this stuff, is how much stuff we have attached to that playlist. And the same with music. We have a playlist based on, I think it's called Morning Wake Up. It's got like 160 songs, same thing from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. So it's got some of our music in there that we've created. And so it's free to use, and check it out, guys. It's for pure entertainment, because a lot of that stuff, George has spent time looking and adding. So it's stuff that we've taken time, so you guys have the extra list so you don't have to go search for the stuff. We've been adding to that for a while. I think there's hundreds of stuff. And then we have a whole thing on Christmas. I think it's called Burr Months in the Philippines. It's nothing but the old Christmas shows, movies, Lifetime movies about Christmas. You could be stuck on that shit forever too. I guess it's better than watching criminology channels. If I got to see one more Ted Bundy file, I think I'm going to scream or enact it. Reenact, not enact. Sorry. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. You forgot you were a fluffier for Bill Clinton, right? I was fluffy for the stay-in. God, if God wanted me to be skinny, I can't be skinny because last time I was a slut. I'd seen that on a TikTok the other day. It was like, God just didn't want me to be skinny because the last time I was skinny, I was a real slut. So he just keeps me fat. Keeps me fat and sassy for George. That's exactly what happened. Crap, I was visualizing Bill Cosby drooling over you and George in the pool. I tried with Jello pudding. Them pudding pops were the bomb, though. I used to get the vanilla ones or the mixed ones, but the vanilla ones, man, I love those pudding pops. I tell you what, everything's been destroyed. If you think about half the people we watch in the 80s now, they're all weirdos or bad people, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of like your neighbors. Sometimes you don't want to know what they're doing. Oh, you're talking about the misfit thing? We did once. We talked about when people come here, a lot of them are coming with bad health. They're running from the law, like literally running from the law, and they're running from their ex-wives, their ex-girlfriends, their kids. They aren't getting along. And it's like, well, Heidi, that's you. It's like, well, I haven't denied any of that. Didn't deny I wasn't a misfit. Not running from the law, but it's weird. They made up so much shit from them dark channels. They were like, oh, well, they ran off to Mexico because they were hiding from this and because of their warrants. And yeah, we were just running, we just decided to do this because we were on the run. And it was some of the stuff. And it's like, okay, well, that adds a little mystery to us. So yeah, go ahead and make the stuff up. But yeah, there's a lot of different things. It just seems to be that that's what's going on. But I think it's funny when you have the misfits talking about you as a misfit, and it's like, did you check your dirty underwear, sucker? Did you look at yourself in the mirror here lately? And it is usually, they claim, the ones that say the loudest like that or so much, they've got 10 times worse issues going on. Hence somebody a couple while back that dropped off. It's because he had 10 issues himself going on. And where's he at now? So it just vlogger against vlogger because they're bored and because they need the money. Heidi and George lived in Florida. Wonder if they went to the coleslaw wrestling. Yes, we did. Yes, right before we left. And the Jello matches. And I wrestled an alligator once. I used to work in an alligator place. Dude, speaking of fish sandwiches, first year I was here, McDonald's had, double fish, and they don't. They just have a slice of cheese, but used a lot, but haven't seen. The fish sandwich comes at Lent or whatever, whenever the religious, I think near Easter, it comes on the menu shortly. If you have a Wendy's in the area, they do. I like it because it's cod-like. So they have a fish sandwich at Wendy's that is off the chain. If you're really looking for something that doesn't leak oil and pretty fresh, we get the salads from Wendy's and then we get the fish sandwiches. Their chicken and hamburger is kind of like the U.S. It's super salty. And what else does Wendy's have? They do a good iced tea, and that's about, if you're looking for something quick. For us, I know that it's unhealthy, but there's times that I can't cook. So I try to make a better decision. Oh, speaking of not being on your lives right now, I've got my brother and his Indonesian wife are visiting. Aw, so there'll be times I'm unavailable. Love you, Victoria. And definitely enjoy your time on that. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, RC. Heidi, I'm always an early riser. That's why I come late to the lives, and of course, visiting my dad at the nursing home. Yeah, I hope he's doing good. or he could be in the hospital sometimes. Also Sunday, I visit my son. I miss my dad. My sisters and stuff were I've got sisters and brothers. I got a big family. I didn't even see them before I left all the time. Actually, I feel they were users. Like my sisters tend to go round and one will hang on one to get what they want. And like, it's kind of weird. And I'm onto that shit. I had my own life, right? And so I didn't have a whole lot going on with my brothers and sisters over the years. We've all lived in different states. All this stuff would happen. Who I miss is my dad. Who I miss is the friends that I had. Who I miss is my grandkid. Who I miss is my children. And then George has kids and I miss his family. Those are the people that I regret. All these naysayers and shit talkers, it's like, eh. So, but when Victoria mentions her dad, it just brings me around, and my dad will be like 81 this year. And it's like, I didn't have many years. That's the things I regret, because when George acts a fool and he ignores me for a while, we go through this Tampo shit of him holding grudges. It's like, bitch, I gave my dad up for you and you're going to not talk to me and you expect me not to say nothing. And I bite my tongue for most of the day. And it's like, because he's not worth it at that point to go through that and the whole immaturity thing. But then I start thinking, when Victoria says that, I'm like, man, I miss my dad. And so you're going to go through these regret stages, if you have any conscience and stuff, of, and you got to watch the balance of using it too, because there's expats that come here and they dump everything on their Filipina. It's like, oh, well, I did this and I did that and I did this. Like George said, they'll keep tabs. Oh, I spent $20, and they hold the money over their Filipina. Or if they get them back to America, they do that. When the Filipina isn't getting a job and whatever, they kind of hold her domestically hostage based on what they're spending on her. So it's kind of like, I get it. So, I mean, I get like the different things where people say, oh, I did this and I did that. But like for me, the biggest regret when George acts a fool is what I did, literally what I'm missing. And like somebody said, I can just get on a plane. That would be the biggest thing. But it's easier said than done. Gotcha. Hey guys, going to bed soon, and Will sleeping. I appreciate it, Thera. Anyone have advice on greenhouse from Timo? Oh my God. Hey, I don't know. I like some things. We use Sheen. Yeah, but watch that. Aren't the prices getting ready to skyrocket with the tariffs going up? On the subject of fish, the fish we're getting here is farm tilapia. Ah, I don't eat farm. Oh, like in America, when we would get it from Walmart or from Publix, yeah, the bags would say, and tilapia was my favorite. It did say China, didn't it? If anything, I'll message you, and you should else be happening when I'm not around. Gotcha. Yeah, I'll check the messenger. Never change. Keep bringing the fire. You make me laugh. Don't worry about the haters. Yeah, I don't. George mentioned it lately because I mentioned it to him, and he's like, and all I did was simply mention it because we blocked the people because they were available before that hand, after the fact. And then I'm like, I'm just telling you. And George's like, well, what are you talking about it? And I was like, just because you say I'm talking about it doesn't mean I care. And sometimes we like to piss off the trolls because they're like, and that way they spend 20 more minutes typing out a letter. We are aware that they'll do it, and that's okay. So yeah, I mean, you can't. And so, but it doesn't make us run and hide either. So a lot of them think that we're going to be like, oh, boo-hoo, you're talking about me being fat. Oh, boo-hoo, you're talking about our sex life. Or boo-hoo, you've got all my history, and you're right. You're a real winner. You know what I mean? It's like, it's, for me, they don't like that it doesn't bother me. Me mentioning it doesn't mean it's bothering me. Me mentioning it is hoping you'll do it more. So it's kind of, it's like, I don't give a fuck. That's what bothers George, is when he says this is an ad or he ignores me, he thinks I'm going to sit around and cry about it for a few days, and I'll say, I don't give a fuck, right? And then I just move on. I still cook. I still take care of the animals. Life goes on. And I don't think people like that. It's like sunshine. His life goes on. You ain't destroying his life. You're not taking away his sunshine. You're not taking away mine. I'm still going to order that fish sandwich later and probably some donuts on top of that. You ain't changing that. So there, I never shopped at Temu. Yeah, give it a try. What you got to lose? A few bucks, at least not 100. Yeah, we've ordered some of the T-shirts. Like this one, I believe was a Temu. So for this one, if you guys didn't see, it's a teddy bear. It's a big teddy bear. So and so we've ordered 1 or 2 T-shirts through them, and then the other one is Sheen. So not bad. Their stuff is getting better, but some of the stuff that comes through is not worth it. People don't want to look into my closet, right? More bones to pile and skeletons, yeah. And a lot of them are pussy ass bitches. So the ones that I know that are talking shit, I always told George that this was like the Wild Wild West and who could take out who. They wouldn't be talking so much shit in person. I've always said that, you either about it or not about it. If I say something, then I'm about it. So in other words, if that person was to walk up to me and hit me in public, then I'd be like, yeah, I did say that, didn't I? I expected that. But these other people just don't see, that it's, whatever. So what I'm saying is that they're invited at any time to confront. That's all. But they won't. And it's because they're keyboard warriors or keyboard talkers or now YouTube shit talkers and just writing letters. And so it's a mix of who they actually are. Enjoy family when they're around. My parents have been gone for a good while. My mom passed away at 50 of cancer. And it was really rough. I was really young and everything. So I lost my mom a long time ago. And my dad, I did not think would make it to 81 himself. So yeah, you be good to the family that's good to you. And if you have to create your family, like a lot of people had no relationship with their family whatsoever. Friends or neighbors, and they got friends in high school and college. They just never separated from them and they built their own families. And so I understand the extended family too. Thomas said he didn't get the notification. Yeah, I was sorry, Thomas. The deal is the we have a power outage tomorrow in this area for 5 or 6 hours, and so there was no way to do it. And so yeah, do like what I told other people. You may have to go in and make sure you're subscribed because. Like on the Filipina P and a couple other channels, they lost a bunch of subscribers and a bunch of them had to resubscribe. And the same with the notifications. There's something going on, but I appreciate you being here. Let's see. I just lost my dad 3 months ago. I miss my dad so much. I'm also sorry to hear about that. I'm trying to calculate. It's been about a month since George's dad, and then his poor George's dad's mother, his grandmother, had passed away very shortly after that. So in a 2-week period, he lost them both. I wish he would have talked to me. He knew his dad was very, very sick for a while, but that's another thing. It's hard being in another country when your husband doesn't communicate really well. And so he doesn't inform me of nothing. He always assumes I'm going to learn, find out, or whatever. Like if he knew there's no tornado coming, but if he knew that something like that was happening, he would just assume or want me to find out all about it instead of saying, hey, I read this today. This is coming. He rarely confronts or talks about stuff. And I think the communication like that is the worst thing that me and George have. He's fun to be with. He's this, and that, but he's just that. I used to think he was just really being an asshole, but it is a form of passiveness. I wish there was more communication. But he did not inform me that his dad was that sick. So it was very sad. And so he totally locked me out. And so when he does that, he just that's the things that would bother me. Oh, wow, 89. My American dad is in the Philippines and staying with his dead girlfriend's niece who thinks, oh, his girlfriend, and he's got mild dementia. Bite the like button, guys, right? Thank you. Yes, and commenting does actually help in doing the like button. It pushes the algorithm so there's more people for the conversation. I don't know. I'm assuming he's just busy or got really offended. He's really been tied up in the all the different things. It's hard, you know. He disappears for a while and then he comes back through, but I don't know if something he got upset about or it's there's nothing. He was fine in the last live though, but it's hard saying. But he does get busy. Probably sleeping off a hangover. One thing I was hoping is tariffs would fix the drop shippers. All you guys talking about Port Lincoln is in South Australia. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. I was gonna stay on for about an hour or two. I appreciate you guys being here. Again, if you're not subscribed, subscribe and consider signing up for our memberships. Okay, membership has its privileges, old photos or videos from Mexico. We keep in contact with you guys. We keep in contact with you guys anyways, but it supports the channel and supports little monsters and now antibiotics out the yingus. God, 3 of the calicos are sick right now, and now Pigsy's getting sick again. But it does show support for the channel, so I got to do that spiel. But I appreciate you guys coming in. And all right, so then Thursday should be the next live. Let's see if we can get George in. Because I told him yesterday, I threatened him within an inch of his little life. I was like, you got to at least appear once a week or something. I said we were doing 3 lives together. You're supposed to do some content, which he's working on. And I'm like, can you make it? Can we do Thursday? Can you make sure you're up? Can you make sure you don't schedule anything? So we shall see. So maybe we'll get George in there. Maybe we'll do the Island of Misfit and we'll dress George up. All right, guys, take care, and I will. He watches these. Love you guys, and we'll see you soon. I'll see you soon. When I say we, I'm talking about the cats and not George. If George is here, then we say we. We right now is me and the cat and I and my other personality.